Welcome to Gamers Without Borders. Watch, game, learn, and donate. Grand Finals Day, everyone. We have an EU winner, we have a LATAM winner, but who is taking the NA region? Well, that will be determined very soon. We got SSG versus Parabellum. I'm Jackie Jing. Very happy to see y'all here. And y'all, you know who else I'm happy to see? Jacob and Jesse. Let's bring in our wonderful analysts into the discussion here. Happy to be on the desk with y'all as always. It has been such a fun, entertaining tournament. How are y'all both feeling this lovely Sunday? Grand Finals Sunday.
Good. We're finally closing the book on what's been a pretty ridiculous week of Siege overall. We saw one team we didn't expect to qualify for a LAN actually get to a LAN in the first place, and then the storied rivalry between MIBR and FaZe just continues down the path. I think a lot of people expected FaZe to pull out the victory, but we only got one more best of 5 to round out the day, which has been, all things considered, a pretty long day, but we've still got plenty more to go.
Yeah, SSG versus Parabellum coming up now for NA, and I'm going to say it's going to be hard to top that LATAM final. We had a really close series just before this for the Brazilians. Now it's going to be up to North America to try to top that with some close maps, hopefully, in all 5.
And we do have the NA bracket up right now. And Jacob, why don't you walk us through this wonderful journey here?
Well, we had 2 North American League teams start at the very top, which a lot of people might have been like, why are the 2 of them facing each other? It's because Parabellum actually tried to qualify for this bracket from before and then got an invite when OXG had to drop out, which means they technically were the lowest seed. So that's why we're seeing this matchup again all the way in the grand finals, because one of those 2 had to get knocked down to the lower bracket. Obviously, Gaming Gladiators and Leftovers both tried to make their own mark in this bracket to a certain extent, and some of them actually managing to take off some maps significantly, which is also nice to see for the NAT2 scene. But we are getting the pretty much expected match as far as this bracket is concerned between Spacestation and Parabellum yet again, and obviously because of the upper bracket advantage for Spacestation, they will come into this with a map lead, which means we are only going to see at maximum 4 maps played over the course of this series.
All right, and let's start to take a closer look at these teams here. Again, SSG versus Parabellum. So, Jesse, Parabellum are undoubtedly the underdogs. Do you think they have what it takes to take down SSG, though, honestly?
Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of good things from Parabellum this weekend, right? I mean, we've seen them take a map off of SSG already. That was the very first map these 2 teams played against one another this weekend. And in that one, it seemed like we saw a lot of those like aggressive plays that kind of have caught Spacestation Gaming off guard. I want to see more of those. I mean, when you come down to it, SSG being together for so long, they're going to have better fundamentals. They're likely going to be more coordinated. I want to see Parabellum really disrupt that coordination. I want to see them over the map. I want to see them making some unexpected plays. I want to see them getting aggressive. And I want to see them turning this into a couple of more round wins. Their 2-star players, Gunnar and Blaz, brand new onto this team, have been phenomenal. Of course, just picked up recently, and they've been really good. The top fraggers in every single one of the maps that Parabellum have played so far. Blaz, 81 and 57 throughout this tournament, and Gunnar, 75 and 55. Really strong plus minuses from them. Shout out to Justin on Twitter for those stats he's collected for us. And yeah, they're going to be really 2 players that you want to watch out for today.
I was talking to Penguin right as the acquisition happened for both, well, I mean, for Gunnar, but when Blaz also came back onto the team, and he was talking about how Gunnar was somebody they wanted to bring in because they wanted the team to be a little bit more vocal behind the scenes. That did kind of strike me about the way that Gunnar played Siege back when it was in NSG qualifiers or SCS or wherever it might have been in North American Tier 3, and it seems like that has injected a little bit of new life into the squad. It's probably a little bit too early to definitively say, but if that's the kind of change you're looking for, it's also nice that a teammate that is that vocal is also putting up the stats, like you mentioned, Jesse, already in the server, and this is just the first time he's been able to play with a team of this caliber. It's also nice that we're getting the chance to see that Blaz is fitting into the team the way we were hoping he'd fit in, because we had some questions about where he was going to come in when Wimpy was the sub. Is it going to be a 1-for-1 replacement for Wimpy, so to speak? So we're getting a good preview about what this is going to look like in the NAL moving forward, but for the context of this tournament, I'm still curious about whether these new PB changes are actually going to be enough to defeat SSG in this grand final.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the big question. It's wonderful to hype up Parabellum here, and you guys were talking about some standout performances, but SSG is an experienced team with a storied R6 history, undoubtedly favorites here. So, Jesse, is this going to be an easy victory for them? I mean, or do you think Parabellum has what it takes? Where are you leaning here?
I mean, I think obviously SSG, like they're a great team. I do want to see a close game. I want to see a close series, and I think that Space Station certainly have the ability to provide us that. We did already see them in their first engagement drop the very first map, as we said, Parabellum taking Kafe 8-6 over Space Station. The problem is, with this being their second time facing one another, it's going to be a tighter map pool. Space Station are going to have a lot more information. I think they played really well with that information in the past, both when they were playing against Parabellum earlier in the NAL, and also when SSG were playing against PB just earlier in this tournament. It feels like they've done a really good job of like doing their homework, reading their setups on Kafe through the NAL, reading their setups on Oregon, kind of knowing what to expect. And so I think the SSG are going to come out with a lot of gumption on their side of things. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Rampy. Rampy kind of had some off games towards the end of the NAL, and so far through this tournament, he has been the best player on SSG, rated 1.45 overall, plus 27. He's been very, very good for them, and that's going to be crucial, shutting down that combo of Blaz and Gunner that we were just talking about.
Yeah, biggest question so far for Space Station was how much are they going to like conform to the same, not stereotype, but the trend that we noticed from them back in stage 1, which was they work on pocket strats and their pocket strats work really well, but how does that mean for like overall strategy and gameplay, which kind of felt like somewhat slow, a tad bit lethargic, and maybe not the most creative thing in the world. And sometimes whenever they'd move quickly and catch their opponents off guard was when they had the high success rate, especially when it came down to really clutch gameplay moments. And so far it's been nice to see that they're still kind of relatively on track, especially considering they did beat Parabellum 2-1 in a series at the very beginning of this bracket already. But the only other team that they've played was Leftovers, which is a team I still don't think was really ever going to challenge them very much. So they're going to get another chance to really prove themselves against PB today, but it's a matter of how they do it that's overall going to help set the tone for when they finally jump back into Tier 1 competition. So use this as another practice run, but I am curious about what their strats are going to look like in this series.
Yeah, so you're questioning what type of strats you think we're going to see. What strats do you think that we need to see for them to be successful then, Jacob?
Well, I mean, like I said, the pocket strats work. Whenever they decide to play hardball and really go hard and fast, that usually, that usually does work out pretty well. It's more about like the tone that Parabellum themselves are going to set, because like we talked about before, they've got gunners now, whereas I feel like this team back in stage 1 wasn't really able to take much advantage of that because they've got so much firepower on this team. Theoretically, the only guy who doesn't have to do anything on Parabellum is Penguin. He can kind of sit in the back line, play Thermite. Even Kool-Aid is about to start fragging out in this series, which is going to be a nice thing to see. And I do believe that Parabellum will be the ones to kind of set the tone, but SSG need to match that. And then, no matter how that happens, I do think it's imperative that they fight fire with fire in this series, if that makes sense.
Okay, well, we are very close to starting this matchup. We're going to move into the map selection process here very shortly, working to get that information up. But Jesse, I know you've been doing a lot of homework here, and here we already got the info dropping, so tell me what you're thinking.
Well, Kafe is the map that these two teams seem to love to play against one another. It's not going to be first banned, at least in the first couple of choices coming through. It's going to be a clubhouse ban from Parabellum. It's been their perma ban for a long time. They don't tend to play this at all, and of course it is a pretty historic map for SSG as well. Villa being taken off the board. They played it a lot at SI. They haven't played it very much this year from what I've seen. And then Kafe actually going to get bans this time from Parabellum. So that's a big statement ban. They played it in the NAL.
That's a pick from Parabellum, Jesse.
I can't read. I thought we were still in the best of threes. They're going for Kafe. That makes a lot more sense because this is, again, a map that they love to play. They're going to bring it out against Space Station. They played it in their opening engagement. They won it, but it was 8-6. It was very, very close. And again, that was kind of the upset as they beat SSG. SSG beat them kind of in the regular season when they went there. And then, yeah, Chalet pick from Space Station as well. Interesting map that they're going to bring out here. They're actually on a 3-map losing streak. Only one playthrough so far this stage against the Sonics, but maybe they've got something prepared that we don't know about.
I swear to God, my camera is going to fall down before we actually manage to finish this map ban phase. I'm not totally sure why.
It was just like, Jacob,
you know what? I'm holding it. I'm going to hold it like a selfie camera, and we're going to go through the rest of these bans. Like, no, don't focus on me. What's wrong with you?
Was it dropping?
What's up, guys? Jacob here, and we're talking about the map ban. I'm really sorry I just did that on stream.
I
like the Chalet pick. Here's the thing, though. We've seen Parabellum try that a couple of times, and they played it against Leftovers, and that was the 7-1. So that's my overall concern, because we've always classified Parabellum as being a very strong Chalet team, but so far, they're 1-1 through this series, and they lost at 7-1 to essentially a pug stack that's trying to make a deep CL run. So that's the only real concern that I've got. But we are guaranteed at the very minimum to see both Kafe and Chalet in this series, because it's the best of 5 with the map count, which means we might only end up seeing 2 maps. So it could just be those 2 if SSG want to make it a clean sweep. So then we go to Oregon, and then we go to Border. I mean, name a time where Space Station is going to be uncomfortable going to Oregon, which I don't think is something that we're ever going to see. And then Border, a bit of a wild card, but I love the fact that SSG kind of picked it, because that was the time that they played it against Astralis back during the normal NAL stage, and it felt like they came close, but only after a very late comeback. So if they can get to a hot start in the event that we need to go to all the way to our very last map, then that one should be pretty darn interesting. And then obviously Theme Park is the auto win, because that's the one that SSG just kind of arbitrarily claim as the one map that they get in the series because of the map advantage, and my camera is still going to fall. What is happening?
Hey, you know what, Jacob? No worries. We'll just get to it, okay? We'll let the grand finals begin so you can fix your camera here. Again, this is best of 5, money in the line, glory in the line, all for a great cause. So let's hand it over to Ollie and Demo, and then, Jacob, we can work on your camera situation. So let the grand finals begin.
Jackie, thank you very much indeed. Jacob and Jesse, always a pleasure to see your faces as well, even if it is sliding down somewhat. We are going to be covering this best of 5 grand finals here. Demo very clearly didn't get the memo.
Again.
We've swapped. Well, not only have we swapped again, but I've got a shirt on.
You didn't tell me about no shirt. Hold on.
I mean, I thought it went without saying.
Or give me 5 minutes whenever we get into the game. Let T see what I'll come back with.
Yeah? What, fancy dress style?
You'll
You're going to really glam it up for us?
Quick change.
Happy days. Well, we are going to be getting underway with this one very shortly indeed. We have got the rematch that we saw way back on Thursday now, it would have been. Certainly feels like a long time ago of these nights of Siege that we've been doing, Demo. Well and truly on the night shift here. Having a lot of fun with it, and we get to see SSG and Parabellum face off one more time. This time under a slightly different format. Of course, the desk there mentioning that it is a best of 5 with 1 map advantage for Space Station, given that they came through the upper bracket. So there's potential to see 4 games of Siege here tonight.
There is, but I've seen the maps come in, Ollie, and I wasn't too convinced that I think it'll be that case. You look at the first map we're going into, it's Kafe. Sure, Parabellum, probably quite happy to see this map come in because they beat Space Station on it before. But we've kind of analysed that Kafe game a lot, Ollie, and we've said a lot of that was down to SSG playing a little bit sloppy with certain plays that Parabellum were allowed to get away with. If SSG had been able to tighten things up and are going to punish Parabellum for those certain, obviously we're going to call out Blaz for the rat plays, it could be a different game. And yeah, I don't know, I worry for Parabellum if they try and go in with that same mindset.
I think I worry for both sides, really. It's really not too clear-cut. Parabellum have obviously got the confidence. They've played it twice in the bracket so far, and they've been successful both times. Yesterday, we watched them absolutely trounce Leftovers on Kafe. It was a 7-2, very decisive, and it came at a very important time, given that Parabellum had already lost map 1 in that series. They then went on to win Oregon, and it was nothing but convincing. So I think for Parabellum, they've obviously got a chance to sort of nullify potentially that 1 map advantage quite early on, which in a best of 5 with a map advantage with a weighting in there, it's always nice to do, because then you just make it really simple and it just turns into a best of 3. And they've already been through one of those with SSG. Granted, they weren't successful, but then you look a little bit deeper. If I just remind myself of the maps that we're going to be seeing after that, we've got the Chalet pick coming through from SSG. I feel like that's somewhere that they're likely going to do quite well. You know, we know this SSG side. They were talking about it on the desk, the pocket strats that they're able to pull out, that ability to, you know, make very decisive shot calls in the moment. That's maybe where I start to worry about Parabellum, in the sense that one of the big things that we've been talking about, Demo, has been their togetherness on the attack, and particularly on that entry.
I mean, look what happened to Parabellum yesterday whenever we seen them play Chalet. They got absolutely slammed. From all accounts, the team did not show up in the slightest. So you do worry, you know, right off the get-go, seeing Chalet. I think, obviously, this is going to come down to Kafe. If SSG take Kafe, I think we would favour them to take Chalet, and that's us done. That's the game game set match. So I think Kafe, this is the important one, Ollie. Before we even get to Chalet, Kafe is where I think we're going to see how this night's going to go.
I would agree. I really would agree. And I think that, to be honest, Parabellum probably know this, because they know that they didn't play fantastically on Chalet yesterday. They know that SSG are going to be prepared for this. Everything really rides on this first map being very important. Something that we've seen, a very common trend here in the North American Games demo, has been that Flores ban. I would be fairly shocked if Parabellum don't draw for it here now. They are really teasing us with it and making us wait right down to the final second. It's actually going to be the Ying. Demo, no one can see me right now, but I am pulling my really shocked face.
No, you're not. You're
I
not
am.
shocked. How can you be shocked at a Ying?
Because we've seen Flores banned as like a mainstay.
Yes, but you also have to remember that what was an operator that worked really well for SSG and Kafe before that we've seen them play?
The Ying did work well. I will give you that. Mirror, going to be removed as well. And Azami comes out as the final ban.
Okay.
Both of these teams clearly doing a little bit of homework here.
See some targets. I think that's certainly clear to see. SSG will actually, I think, be really happy to see Kaid on the board. We kind of looked at SSG and we've said that they've played quite default in terms of their strategies in Kafe Ollie. They haven't really flexed anything too strong on us. I'm primarily talking about their upstairs hold, where they fully reinforce freezer walls and fully reinforce bathroom. They play that kind of anchor position that we don't see all too often, and then they bring in the Kaid. You can't get the Kaid claws off because Thatcher's banned. That's going to favor SSG, I think, in this opening half. Instead of going upstairs, which is where they've went most times, they're going to be starting off downstairs, though, in the kitchen.
A little bit of a strange first choice site, granted. We'll have to see how SSG choose to make this one work.
10 seconds remaining.
I guess most sites are fairly defensible on Kafe. The top floor, you know, whilst it is seen as a favoured pick for attackers, depending on what they're expecting, it can be a little bit of a hard time.
I mean, what maps like don't have all 4 bomb sites, you know, defendable? What maps is there that you would say, oh no, you can't really defend a site on that map?
I think it's certainly changed, hasn't it? Because there would be a time where you would be able to list half a dozen.
Probably living room and villa. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Opening pick.
First pick.
Penguin just straight in. On that Flores.
Drop the bomb diffuser.
Never a great sign if Bosco's getting taken out early, is it?
Yeah, I don't know what's happened there. Looks like Penguin just walked in Bakery and just shot him. That's what it looked like. And they got the kill and they're gone. They're out. So Parabellum, they found a pick. They're happy with that, and now they can actually start off and look at where they want to go now. Looks to be maybe trying to clear out the roamers upstairs, Ollie. We see that extension from SSG. No surprise to see them go for it. SSG are happy enough to really play their lives if they need to, but like we know SSG, Ollie, if they waste enough time, they'll go back to site as quickly as they can. But I think FG need to waste another minute or so before they start thinking about that. Parabellum, of course, that first pick, it gives them that extra man who they can rotate around, and I'm sure it's probably going to be Blaz in this scenario. Just let him off the leash, Ollie, let him go and do what he wants to, but maybe it's Gunner instead who's off the leash, as he finds Rampy. A freebie of a kill. Rampy had no idea that somebody could have been in the front door. There's 2 picks, Ollie, that it seems a bit weird from SSG.
Yeah, SSG certainly giving away a couple of soft kills there. They will find one back onto Blaz. Esker is going to be making his way down red. Just gets caught out in one of the lingering goo mines from Rampy. There isn't going to be too much here to concern them, but there's a lot of soft destruction now to start doing, and that's going to be Esker's job. Needs to rip open a lot of that floor. Fultz does manage to get the trade back onto Esker. Really caught mid-animation there. Kool-Aid is there for the 1-for-1 trade, but it still means that there's a lot of jobs that haven't been done. Hatch being open into Freezer is going to be a bit of a saving grace here, but Gunner is going to get swung by Skies. The Valkyrie camera is providing that all-important information. Kool-Aid, he's right in the sight. Skies knows exactly where he is as well. A quick hop over from Penguin is going to credit him with 1 kill, and now he's left in the 1 versus 1, but he's got no intel. doesn't know where Skies is playing, catches him prone and finishes him off. Skies. The lack of info from both sides there. Penguin happy to tank up that Goyo shield damage 3 times there inside of that round, and it rewarded him.
Oh, Penguin kicked things off. 3 kills in the round, and he really had to make it work for himself, Ollie. I mean, what can you say? Just has to push in, has to go for the kills. I mean, he still had 30 seconds, but he had the adrenaline behind him, didn't he, Ollie? He felt as if he could take on anything. And it worked. Pushes in, finds Skies. SSG dropped the ball in the first round. It was weird. It looked as if they gave away 2 picks just in weird shape. You seen Bosco, somebody just walked in the bakery, shot him. And then I think it was Rampy, wasn't it, on the Legion, who was walking backwards into Cope, not knowing somebody was at the front door. Just a weird couple of kills.
It was a little bit strange because we didn't exactly get to see that opener from Penguin. I'm not sure if it was just sheer unluck from Bosco that caused him to get taken out there, or if he really was in the wrong place at the wrong time and kind of just caught in no man's land. Regardless, I don't think the SSG are going to be too concerned. One thing they're not going to do, though, is give them another attempt downstairs. Instead, they're going to be going for dining, fireplace, and wheel room, train. This top floor hold going to come through. I feel like the Valkyrie cameras worked really well there for SSG. They had a lot of information, and Skies picked up 2 great kills off the back of it. Not choosing to bring it this round. Instead, they've got a bulletproof on Bosco to try and gather a little bit of that info.
Strange to see that SSG are not going to go upstairs towards that top floor bomb site. Instead, going for the train museum. Usually out of all the bomb sites, this is the least played. So SSG just really not going with the standard formula you would expect. But I mean, still defendable like we mentioned before in Kafe. All 4 bomb sites are certainly achievable from the defense. Gunner straight in, off the back of some drone work. Sees Cigar Shop is shut, but there is a lot of utility upstairs from SSG, and also a lot of bodies, Ollie. 1 man inside a Pixel will be droned out, and Gunner now walks straight into a crossfire. A couple of question marks there from Gunner. You're moving into piano. You should be aware that nearly every wall could be opened up and an angle could be held onto you.
You got to treat it like you're attacking the top floor. You know that there's going to be players in those
telling him?
familiar positions.
There was drones. You should definitely be telling your entry. Whenever you move into piano as an entry, it is one of the scariest rooms in Kafe because there's about 20 different angles. And if the drone work isn't good, you'll get picked off. Whoever's droning should be telling him, bathroom wall is open, they have a shield. Why is that not being fed to him? It might have, and then that's just bad on Gunner, but we don't know. But either way, there's been a misplay.
Blaz going to get caught out in the Razor Bloom here. It's going to give the intel over to Skies. The plant is going down, though. Kool-Aid, how are you getting away with this? Kills continuing to fly. He gets taken off at the last possible second. Esker, not in position to cover. We can see the diffuser cold on the ground. We can see the intention there. Get the plant down and hold it from the window. But SSG, they clear shot. Fultz manages to hit a rotation underneath Red Hatch. Knows exactly where Esker's going to be. Sloppy round there from Parabellum. It looked like they were trying to run before they could walk.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of things at the incorrect timings with very little information to play off. So all starts with Gunner moving in as that entry, was looking to gain control of piano. It seemed as if Parabellum seen all of that utility upstairs and just thought, you know what, we can't be bothered. That's what it felt a little bit lazy with how they played that round. You cannot just try and plant like that if you don't have that upstairs control. There's a hatch that will allow defenders to flood back in. They can open up angles above where the diffuser gets planted inside a train. You need to take piano. That is a crucial bullet point in the checklist of how you attack that bomb site. Very, very surprising. I think they also tried to play off Blaz. Blaz tried to make a play. To be fair, Blaz kills that man inside a train. Different round entirely. Entirely different round. But because he didn't win as one, it was going to be a lockout, even if it was a 5v3. It doesn't matter. Parabellum jumped the gun. They relied so heavily on Blaz. They then just tried to go for a plant. If Blaz is not there in that position to cover all those crosses inside a train, they could just get swung from so many different angles. And that's what happened to them.
Yeah, when the round hinges off one player winning a 1 versus 1, Never ideal. Still, leveled out, 1 round apiece here. We're going to see SSG make that rotation to the top floor. Site we've been kind of desperate to see up until this point. We were expecting it to be one of the first choice sites. Now, for all the talk about the Flores and all the fact that, you know, Flores has been regularly banned, it was banned yesterday quite a bit by Parabellum. It's been banned, it's been regularly used by SSG and banned against them if not. We're not actually going to see it here. And this is probably one of, if not the best site on Kafe to bring a Flores because you've got so much to try and deal with. Castle barricades, laser gates from Aruni, you got magnets from Wamai. Instead, what you're going to do, you're going to send Penguin dropping into New Hatch on the Nook, trying to find himself a cheap one. He is in the lion's den here, Demo. Crouching through Longbar. He knows there's going to be someone on the other side of the reinforcement, but he doesn't know much else. Freezer looks very unknown. He seems cautious to make a move. He's just trying to tuck himself in under the bar here. Rampy, equally unaware that somebody is literally 5 feet away from him. Very tricky position here for Penguin. He's going to find himself one onto Rampy. Rampy is just going to be confused as to how that has been let to happen. We've got Bosco. He's going to be holding an angle there from the top of White. Instead, it's going to be Hot and Cold that swings on from the freezer. SSG managed to grab that one back. Blaz just narrowly misses out on a bit of damage into the player in Washroom. Instead, he's going to hit the repel. Try and take this a little bit more head on.
Feels as if Parabellum could have capitalized off that if they picked up the pace. Just a tad. Blaz has found a good shot though on the Bosco and has that LMG. Should be an easy pre-fire, but no, Hot and Cold finds him instead. Surely Blaz should have known that somebody's going to be in that pixel position. Eska's actually rotated towards the east side of the map. A great shot from Kool-Aid, but he will be downed in the process. Guys, sees the last man, whiffs the SMG magazine, goes for a second, also whiffs that one, but gets him on the third swing. Oh, Skies, it wasn't the cleanest, but hey, he gets over the finish line.
Doesn't matter how clean it is, sometimes you've just got to get the job done. Sky's salvaging that round there. Again, very scrappy from Parabellum. This is kind of unlike anything we've seen them play so far in this competition. They haven't been that team that's been extremely aggressive. They've had nice tempered aggression, and we've seen them contest for opening engagements. We've seen them happy to get in there and play aggressive on the entry. But in terms of crouch walking somebody into Longbar, you're just putting him on an island. You're giving him a death wish because there's, yeah, you might get one kill, but you are more than likely going to be traded straight away, especially by a team like SSG. Rampy dies there. It's an easy call out.
It just seems a bit lost, doesn't it, Ollie? It's as if they've dropped that man with a compass in the wilderness with a pack of wolves around him and say good luck.
Some sort of desert island survival.
Survival island.
My desert island operator would not be Nook.
This, I don't know if you ever you were there, of course, at SI22. Did you see the great game show that was held?
I didn't hear about it. Yeah,
that was
I may have had front row seats.
That was a question, Ollie. What gadget would you want on a desert island?
I don't think that it would be Nook's ability. I don't think that there's going to be many cameras on the desert island. I'll be honest.
It wasn't in the top 6 answers. No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't there. That was good fun. I hope people enjoyed that day. That was good. That was good. Just me spouting a lot of waffle and then giving Jacob negative points because he was whining constantly.
We'll have to ask those two if they remember.
A wedding?
It seems as though SSG are back up to their old tricks as well with these opening kills with the C4.
It's a good kill as well onto Lion, and we know that with Parabellum in their lineup, they're going to be looking for that tempered aggression and having that information. It's good stuff to have. Of course, Blaz and the Jackal also, Ollie's going to help them out. And there will be the first red ping. See somebody inside a train. But they need to try and play off this information, Ollie. Sure, it's good bringing the Jackal, but if you're only going to use it as, you know, it's like a drone, what's the point? You want to be using that active information to be hunting this guy.
Ideally, yes. Jackal's value comes at many points throughout the round, but the large point of value comes at the beginning and in the early round when you can, you know, track those footprints and start to try and gather a little bit of a picture. Gunner, again, just seems wildly out of position. think he knows there's going to be somebody here, but doesn't know exactly which side of the room they are going to be on. Kool-Aid, he's going to see to it. Takes hot and cold down. Esker. It's almost Esker's trademark position on the red stairs. You just see him there every single round, and we catch him opening up this angle pretty much every time there with the sledgehammer.
It just plays that flank watch position. You know, you look at Parabellum not bringing the Nomad or a Gridlock into the lineup, so you have to basically force yourself into sitting these staircases now, because we know that Kafe, especially for the kitchen, is very easy to rotate up. I think Parabellum, they've shown that whenever they defend this bomb site, always how good they can be on the retakes whenever they have all of those staircases available to them. So in Parabellum, of course, they're going to know that, so you have to try and lock yourself into that. Blaz has the smokes, which is going to be handy, as we know, Ollie, to maybe block off an angle or two. There goes the smoke. Burning also in towards that VIP area. There is a Toxic Babe, and Kool-Aid's just going to take the plunge into Freezer now, Ollie. 20 seconds to go. What are Parabellum thinking with this play?
No hot pockets this time for them to worry about. Just the gunpowder of SSG, but that is diminishing by the second. It's going to be Skies left in the clutch. Finds himself 2. 8 seconds left. He's going to try and play aggressively onto this. The diffuser has been recovered. Can he find a third? Gunner in position to shut him down. Just swings on the side of the bomb chassis. LMG. Might not be the fastest fire rate weapon, but it's certainly handy to have in that spot. Parabellum. Getting one over the line. You look at the time there, and you just really got to back Skies to be able to just hold them off for another 4, 5 seconds. Real down to the wire stuff.
I think Parabellum's done really well to pull that back, considering that they lost the opening death. Coming back from a 4v5 of that extension from SSG. It did seem as if SSG, they had some people who ran away immediately. Just dropped the hatch straight off the rip. Then they had some people still linger. Yeah, I feel as if you're going for the room game, you either fully, you know, everyone there, they fully commit where you just trade and you die, or everyone falls. Because you just can't be leaving one player by himself against 4.
No, it needs to be all or nothing, doesn't it? You either stick on the roam together or you drop off together after it doesn't work. You can. There are instances where leaving one person behind will be beneficial, but particularly on Kafe, the roam it's only as strong as the player standing next to you. You know, you need those crossfires, because with the crossfires you can hold a lot of that top floor. Without it, it does become quite easy to get cornered, especially when you start bringing things like Jackal into the mix. Still not a great deal separating these two. We could be about to see a similar Kafe to the first time that we saw these two play here in the competition. It was a overtime game. Parabellum managed to scrape it at the end.
Let's keep in mind that the defense is certainly favored on Kafe, Ollie, so the more rounds Parabellum can get, the easier it's going to be for them whenever they have that side switch. In goes the Flores. Opens up that top red wall. Hasn't been reinforced by SSG, which is a bit surprising. Usually that's the kind of go-to, is if you're extending towards top floor, reinforce those top red walls. It just wastes some utility, wastes a bit of time. But maybe if they want to put the utility elsewhere, then by all means. Oh, shotgun blow. Maybe a C4 up through Cigar Shop. I think Blaz is aware of that and actually backs away for the meantime.
Kool-Aid credits himself with an opener. Takes down Fultz on the Wamai. This top floor hold is starting to fall off a little bit, especially with Gunner causing a ruckus downstairs, and Reading picks himself up. 2-3 great kills! SSG, they are just presenting themselves on a plate here for Parabellum. Skies again, left in the clutches. This time 1 versus 5. Whole minute left on the clock. There's not a great deal of hope here. Gets a glimpse, tries to catch a player on the cross, but can't even manage that. Cover from the hatch, cover from inside of train. It's always going to be a tough task. A flawless there for Parabellum.
Dominant, but like you said, Ollie, SSG just giving himself up a few times there. It's as if that, you know, it just feels as though the SSG, they're forcing some of these kills. Like, they're trying to force these engagements. I think during those early stages more than anything. It's not the same kind of strict SSG that we know where they will just sit 5 people in a corner and just play those extreme crossfires. We're not seeing that today so far. Look at Bosco. Look at Rampy.
It's not often that you can turn around and say, you know, look at Bosco, look at Rampy, and they're sat there 0-5, 1-4. Very hit or miss tonight. Fortunately for them, they've got a map advantage in this best of 5, and there's plenty of siege to get around. But you don't want to be dropping the first map and almost have it end up being a glorified warm-up scrim because things just haven't gone your way and you've never really woken up. And start righting those wrongs as soon as possible. You mentioned, Demo, that Kafe regularly seen as defender-sided. It's one of the few maps where you've got to spend 30-40 seconds to actually get onto the roof, to get into a position to be able to think about entering on in. There's just so much more to do as an attacker when you compare it to other maps.
It's a tricky map to attack. It's personal hell, I feel, as if you're an entry. Especially whenever you look at the top floor. Entering in towards Piano, I mentioned it before previously, it's so difficult. So many different angles you have to be aware of. I also think it's quite tricky to get any real utility value just because of the sheer amount of operators that get chosen to deny. You know, you look at SSG, they've got the triple threat. You have the Wamai, the Jaeger, and the Yaruni. All 3 of those are going to be great at soaking up flashbangs, grenades, and whenever, you know, as an entry, of course, you're there to get the kills with an LMG or the Ana, whatever gun you're using, but also nade kills are going to be an important thing for entries.
No entries this time for Parabellum. The Aruni from Glaz didn't work out as planned. He got shut down by Rampy after he'd entered in, and we actually saw Kool-Aid fall to a Razor Bloom there.
No hard breach now, which is an issue.
It's going to be very difficult from here on out. The diffuser going to be cold. There is going to be a line of sight and an entry point in through to Piano. But for the meantime, Penguin isn't going to opt to use it. Bringing the Flores this time to try and burn through a lot of that utility. The saving grace at this point for Parabellum is that there is still time. You can look to deal with this shield on Pixel. Get that done. Gunner still dueling, trying to find himself that pick onto the player in Washroom now. With the shield gone from Pixel, you've got no real choice but to move on back. Penguin does manage to relocate the player that was inside of Freezer. And Gunner, he's pushed on through. Finds himself one, cautious of the hatch below. Needs to ideally join up with his teammate here. Penguin with some aggression finds himself one, but look at where the diffuser has been left now. It is clearly in no man's land, and SSG are going to be fully aware of that. Looks at Babes dissipate now as a nade does go through. Hot and Cold takes a good chunk of damage. Esker and Gunner got to play this one relatively quickly. Hot and Cold still getting chunked down by those nades that are getting sent through, but SSG are not for moving. They've got crossfires and they are going to use them. Fultz and Rampy going to pick up those final 2. Tucked in behind those cocktail bars. They knew that they didn't have to move for anything. Still a bit of info knocking around at the end. And we end at an equal split.
Much better from SSG. Opening picks was good, and then I think we've seen the SSG that we wanted to see, Ollie. We're all 5 and they'll sit on site. They'll be as patient as they can be. Penguin has made some great pushes, hasn't he, Ollie? The confidence that he's had is been really strong.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Still wasn't good enough, though, in that round. Still was not there. Esket and Blaz struggling. You know, we've talked about SSG. Bosco had a horrible half, Ollie. 0-6. Oh, dear. So there's been strong players on either side, we can see that, but also not so strong players on either side also.
And they're players that we usually look toward to do a job. You know, we were really giving it the other night about how much clutch potential Bosco has, and when he's left in that situation, there's not many other people that you would want to rely on to clutch it out. You know, you think of just the sheer consistency that Bosco has in a clutch, and now seeing, you know, 0-6 not really activated. He's been doing a supporting role, but you know, that's 6 gunfights potentially that he's lost there. See, you've got to, you know, question it at some point, especially when a lot of those rounds really didn't go in SSG's favor. Obviously, you flip that around and you look toward Eska, very quiet. Blaz, equally quite quiet. I think we're still yet to see, Demo, a day or a game where both Blaz and Gunnar show up in the same map. Because typically they'll either alternate it, one of them will have a good half, one of them will have a mediocre half. Obviously, the new pickups, we're not expecting, you know, 100% synergy. But we know what they're capable of.
We certainly do. I think last time we seen Parabellum go up against SSG, Gunnar just came alive in the defense, didn't he, Ollie? He was hitting every nail on the head. Well, every bullet in the head, I suppose you'd probably say, instead of the nail. But yeah, he was really strong in the defense, not so much in the attack. But to be fair, today the attacks has been good from Gunnar. 7-4 is a very respectable, I think, entry stat for the entry on Kafe. I've talked about how difficult it can be to attack it. We'll see how he deals with defending it now. There's a Valkyrie up and alive, but Fultz has the IQ in the back pocket. Love to see the IQ coming in here, Ollie. I've mentioned how strong Valkyrie can be. Gunnar, the confidence. He gets to him, Ollie. Gives himself up. And Skies will add an opening kill to his tally.
Punished. Skies has done a lot of work there as well. Not only did he remove the Valkyrie camera, he got rid of the shield on Pixel as well, and picked himself up an opener. All of that in very, very good time. SSG can't afford to relax too much now. They've still got a lot to do, but Fultz is going to make it even a little bit easier. Finds one onto Eska. The IQ pick, it's not something that we saw Parabellum really go for, despite the Valkyrie being run in a couple of rounds by SSG. It's just providing so much value here. Bosco needs to get himself out of harm's way as the Toxic Babe canister will come in. Kool-Aid going to be the next player found as down as Rampy preps himself to hop in to White Corridor there. Bosco, he's deep, he's on long bar. He's pushing through aggressively. Blaz, he's found a little bit of success, shutting Rampy down. Second for Penguin. It's now a 2 versus 2. Kool-Aid still down. Effective 2 versus 1. Do SSG know that? Fultz and Skies. They're nicely grouped here, but the diffuser is going to be cold. Blaz finds himself a good portion of damage and a down, but it's not going to be enough. Hot and Cold is there on the cover, able to secure that final frag.
Yeah, SSG being able to stack up in that 1v2. Blaz, he was ready for one, but was not ready for the second. The lack of information, Ollie, and that's because the information from the IQ was able to pick apart all those Valkyrie cameras. You know, that was so important. I mentioned about IQ. Bang, bang, bang. You can see all that information right off the get-go. And whenever I think you go into it with the Valkyrie pick, you're not going to be picking up the bulletproofs. You're going to be looking at it and think, okay, we have information, we have the Valkyrie. As soon as those cameras get caught out, you're blind. You're absolutely blind because you're not bringing any extra information because you think the Valk cams, that'll do us. That's all we need.
It can quite often be a bit of a double-edged sword as well, because the majority of spots that you're going to place a Valkyrie camera can be spotted out by an IQ on the roof.
Yeah.
And all IQ has to do is Z-ping that, and it's going to give a more accurate location as to where that piece of utility is. So it does become quite straightforward to deal with there.
Yes, see if they can keep things rolling. But yeah, Parabellum just a little bit too reliant on the Valk cams. We need to look for another option. You know, if those Valk cams get caught out because IQ's being brought, you need to do something against that. You know, it's very similar, Ollie. What would happen to a lot of people if, you know, Ollie, let's say for example, what would you do if your power just went out? You couldn't cope, could you? You couldn't cope.
Oh, why not?
You just couldn't. A lot of people, I think, if the power goes out, you're done.
Like,
you're so reliant on something.
Got an emergency power's gone out bag.
My dad has a generator. That helps.
Mine's full of candles and
at least we get the kettle on. Hard games.
I've got a gas stove demo.
I forgot you grew up in the 1950s. Power didn't exist back in the day.
I'm not sure if Kool-Aid was trying a little bit too hard on an opening kill there, or if we just saw some serious luck from Fultz on a pre-fire.
Kill's a kill.
But a kill is a kill. It doesn't really matter how it came about. All that really matters is SSG have a nice buffer going into this one. Rampy on the entry, drones working at his feet.
This is where he's scary, isn't it? This is where Rampy can really just unleash everything that he can do, Ollie. We know how strong he is in that finca. Nade gets tossed in. Looking for the shield, but like I mentioned before, Ollie, on this piano entry, you need to be so careful. You need to be so careful. Because if you look the wrong way, if you get the wrong 50-50, you've costed your team an entry.
We could see the drones really working overtime to check every single corner. Blaz is going to find himself one back. That initial advantage neutralized now. Still not going to be of too much concern here. Around a minute left, and SSG, while they are yet to significantly commit here to the site, they are doing a good job of taking this top floor control slowly but surely. Still going to have a bit of utility to deal with though later on. Main thing that we're going to be looking toward there is of course going to be the C4 in the hands of Gunner. 3 toxic babes in the hands of Blaz. If, of course, he lasts that long, he's only on a shred. Could very easily be taken out by a stray bullet here or there. Bosco, going to be clearing out the kitchen. Could be going for a little bit of an up the hatch there. He's obviously on the Amaru, so has that potential. Still, that hatch will need to be open for him to be able to do that.
You can hear the Amari straight up in. Yep, there it is. And now SSG looking to get the plant down, Ollie. Parabellum have been caught out by this pocket strategy from SSG. It's worked so well for them. Now we're into the post plant. Parabellum have to try and claw back something, but it's only Blaz. And look where he is, Ollie. He's just stuck in the middle of it. Doesn't know what to do. And Bosco puts him out of his misery. Nice, Bosco. Very nice. Look, he's got the attack, Ollie. He's woken up. He's here. He's ready to go.
Well, there's something that he can do here that's really valuable, and that's get the diffuser down. If you're getting picked off, you can't unfortunately do that as a defender. You can't disable that diffuser from the grave. Great little play there from SSG, just taking what they need. I think potentially going up through the hatch was a little bit extravagant. You could have easily gone in through the window and achieved a very similar result. You just got to get a body inside of the bomb site. But it worked out nonetheless, and it's always nice to see Amaru used in that way. It's not every day you get to see Amaru up through the hatch from inside. Typically, you're trying to fly in through a window and get an early advantage, or a bit of a rush, get yourself to the roof quicker, whatever it might be. So nice to see those different use cases from time to time.
SSG looking very dominant on the attacks, only 2 in a row. Need something here from Parabellum to get themselves back in it, because you don't want to be sat there with a 6-3 SSG, then they have a nice buffer there where they can start controlling the pace of the game. And obviously, you know, whenever you're 6-3 down, if you're Parabellum, you're going to start to be desperate. You're going to start to be desperate. And sometimes it works for you, but I think a lot of the time whenever we see teams in those desperation moments, it actually hinders their gameplay more than anything, because they start doing things that aren't the norm, and things that, if an attacker has any form of common sense, they're going to punish you.
Yeah, it's that it comes down to the old trying too hard. You know, you're forcing a player, you're trying to make something where you're putting a round peg in a square hole.
Yeah. It'll come to you. That's just it. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
The early lion scan there, you can only think that that's an attempt to stop any sort of...
Stop people jumping out.
Yeah. Parabellum have really been known for that. And we've seen them suffer opening deaths to spawn peaks quite often.
Yeah.
On the
I just find it risky.
Yeah?
I find it risky that they're going for the window repels with no nomad, knowing that Blaz is on the other team. I think that's mental. I do.
You're just projecting, though. I think you're just projecting your own fear.
Maybe I am. To be fair, this is one of the games where you wouldn't really be scared of Blaz because he's 3-7. Because we know Blaz, it's either go big or go home a lot of the time. That's what we're seeing from Blaz so far in this tournament.
It definitely has been. And like we said, it's almost been swapped between Blaz and Gunner, and one of them will have a pop-off half and the other one will be fairly quiet.
Yeah. You get
Gunner
the
had a great attack. Yeah, I mean, Gunner had a great attack, didn't he? But then Blaz hasn't stepped up on the defense. And Gunner's not really...
Gunner hasn't had a kill yet in defense.
Yeah, he's not done as much as he did on the attack, so it really does come down to that consistency.
And that's why you see the likes of SSG, because just how consistent the team is. That's what it's all about. Consistency is key, Ollie. We cannot talk about that any more than what we have done in the past. Rampy's straight into Cigar Shop, cooking the nade. Skies is going to be in that window repel. Actually going to swing in through the window. Faults finds Eska, but Skies is the man you need to watch out for in the prime position. Will find Kool-Aid. Gunner finds Rampy, but Bosco is there with a trade-off. Oh, an impact, and then Blast sprays through the wooden bar, and now SSG have to try and get this diffuser down. Bosco is in a good position to get it down, but he's just maybe waiting for the rest of his team to be in a position to go for the diffuse.
Gunner's taken a bit of damage there as well. We're actually going to see the drop coming from Hot and Cold. I would have thought that he would stay up on the skylight there and be able to watch in a post. Bosco tries to get the plant down, but the electricity stops him. Fultz, he's already shut down Gunner, and that is all down to Blaz. We commented, Blaz has been having a fairly quiet time of things here. He's got 11 seconds to try and set the world on fire and keep his team well and truly in it. But look at the drones. They know exactly where he's going to be coming from. He might have got one, but there's still a second. Hot and Cold, he's going to drop. Blaz, full white flashed. Can't take a challenge if he can't see his opponent. Still searching, looking for answers. I've actually seen this Hot and Cold get himself all the way back onto the roof. Cole's still got Bosco inside of the freezer as well. This is being covered exceptionally by SSG. They're not taking any chances in this post plant. Blaz picks himself up one, confirms it to pad the stat. He's only got 12 seconds. He's got no other choice but to try and counter disable this diffuser. Goes for the bait and switch, but Fultz is on the skylight. Easy as you like there. You've got to hold your nerve. The clock is working down in your favor at that point as an attacker, and Fultz knows it.
Yeah, so easy for Fultz in that position. Just, Kafe, it's one of those, well, obviously the top floor, it's one of those bomb sites where if you can plant the diffuser in a line of sight of that skylight, it's over. It's done. We've seen that. It's one of the worst feelings as a defender, isn't it? Even if you're in a 1 versus 1, you know, let's say it's a 1v5, you killed 4 of them, but if there's one guy on that skylight and the diffuser is in that position, you're not winning it. You can't. It's over.
I mean, unless the guy on skylight plays badly. But you've got to play really badly.
Yeah.
You've got to literally be poking your head over that skylight sill and saying, I'm here, shoot me. Well, SSG, map point here. We'll put them 2-0 up in the series. Parabellum, they haven't done anything since getting on the defense demo. They were
struggling
their own on attack. A 3-3 split. Things were looking pretty good. We were thinking, yeah, we've probably got a bit of a game on our hands here. And we are still waiting for them to pick a round up on the defense. SSG, they've gone from strength to strength. They started off a little bit slow, I think it's fair to say. There were some fairly strange rounds. Parabellum were playing very solo siege, and SSG they weren't getting entirely befuddled by it, but it wasn't coming to them as easy as maybe we would have expected.
And keep in mind that Bosco and Rampy still haven't really done much this game. Look at them still. 2 kills, 3 kills. It's the other 3 who has stepped up massively. It's usually, it's got Rampy who's that main entry and Bosco who is that, that clutch man on the defense, both of which have been struggling in both of their roles. It's been really the other 3 who we know can flex really, really well. Skies, Hot and Cold, and Fultz have a variety of operators. We know Fultz to be in the more ultimate flex, but the other 2, we know that they can play anything as well. So that free man has done wonders right now for SSG. It's all clicking for them. One more round for SSG and Kafe. Keep in mind, this is Parabellum's map pick. They need to be doing a lot better than this. I think they maybe got a little bit too confident with how things went against SSG before. SSG, if they get a chance to go back in Kafe against Parabellum, we knew they would not let anything slide.
No, they've definitely come back to not only get the win, but to sort of prove a point, I think. And that point is that they feel like they probably should never have lost the first time they played Parabellum on Kafe. Bosco, bit of aggression there onto Blaz, shuts him down with a swing. Rampy has fallen, so it isn't going to be the pure opening kill, but it's a good response to one. I think for me, somebody that's been doing it all here tonight, Demo, at least in this map that we've seen, has been Skies. I just feel like he's always in the right place at the right time. Regularly left in the clutch when SSG were on the defense, and still just doing a lot of that brunt work task when he moves over onto the attack. He's going to look to move through and start to rip open a lot of this floor now. It's kind of personal preference whether you're going to bring a sledge or a book to do this job.
Yeah. I think Fultz has also impressed me tonight. I think he's been controlled the game really well. I think he's kind of set the tempo. He's the one who's kind of controlled what SSG seems like have been doing a lot of these positions. Hot and cold. We'll catch Gunner. 2 Habana pellets is enough to open up the bakery. However, Monty goes down. Fultz is going to get picked off. How's that happened? I don't know. But still, it's man advantage for SSG as Hot and Cold found another one. Rampy's off the Finca, and all of a sudden, we're seeing the Finca make something of herself.
15 seconds left. There's still a job to do here. There might be an advantage, but it is a narrow one that will diminish by 1. Hot and Cold gets the trade back. He's picked up 3 so far this round.
Whoa!
Liska somehow manages to keep his team in it. Rotates himself down brown stairs. Finds himself 2 crackers to close the round. The time was going to do the rest, realistically. SSG just wasting a little bit too much of it there in that mid-round.
No information on the gold stairs, Ollie, to allow Eska just to run down and go for that swing. How is that being allowed? Sloppy flank watch from SSG has been enough to cost them there. Parabellum still in it. Shouldn't have been in it, let's be honest, but hey, they're still alive and kicking. 2 rounds is all they need to get into OT. It's a lot easier saying that than what I know it would be. But they go upstairs once again. Last time SSG, it was a little bit hit or miss. I wouldn't say SSG looked the strongest in their attacks upstairs. I think they were very reliant on these kind of individual plays, pushing in towards long bar, and I think Sky swinging in for that east balcony window helped them a lot. So there was a few moments there for SSG, but I don't know, it seemed still a little bit messy at times.
SSG have still got that buffer to work with. They've managed to get as far as they have tonight so far without a great deal of input in terms of kills from players like Rampy and Bosco. Not that you would always look to Bosco for the kills, but Rampy definitely. Big talisman player for SSG, and on that entry, very important. Especially when you're going to be bringing the Finca. You know, you need to get a lot of value out of a Finca. You've got the LMG, you've got the Adrenal Surge, 2 nades. If your Finca player isn't having a great time, it's costly not only in the scoreboard, but also in that utility exchange as well.
And we've seen Rampy, I think, struggle, didn't he, against Parabellum the first time. Remember, he's getting picked off windows like right off the rip, and all that utility was still, you know, in his pocket, and he just died with it.
The good news for SSG is that as soon as he does come online, it's going to be a lot easier because the rest of the team are playing well enough to get them to this point anyway. He's obviously still contributing in other ways, but as soon as he gets online and starts dialing into those gunfights a little bit more, it's going to become even more scary for Parabellum.
East side take looks to be from SSG. This is their kind of secondary attack that they want to go for. They usually go for this whenever they think that they've struggled a little bit towards the kind of more default piano, which I think if you look at that last round that they had, Ollie, it was, you know, very ropey at times. So to see them now switch things up, I think that's the correct decision. So SSG will primarily try and take in towards reading and start using that skeleton key from below, use the verticality that Buck can bring compared to a sledge where you're kind of stuck in that headlock of you can only go top down, whereas Buck can do both, not only from the top but also from below. Idea is to force everyone out, and then you can easily swing in and try and get a diffuser down. That's the whole goal. But I think a lot of it does rely on information. You need to make sure the drone work is correct, and then you need to combo that information with the utility, which right now we're starting to see flood in for SSG. Rampy tries to get the nade sent up. Doesn't catch anyone with that nade, but still has one more he could go for. We're just waiting for more information. Bosco does find the first pick. 50 seconds. That's a good start for SSG, but I think Rampy, he needs to win this engagement on the white stairs if SSG want to try and go for the swing. They need Rampy right now.
It all really hinges on the player on white stairs. In this instance, it's going to be Rampy, because he needs to be able to cover this hop in whenever the rappel decides to come through. He's actually going to switch up and get himself onto that white window as we see the Lion Scan cover Bosco as he runs on through. Sky's just waiting on the edge of the Toxic Babe canister for it to dissipate, but his teammates are doing the hard work for him. Bosco came off the plant, picked himself up a kill, and is now ready for more. Skies has since joined, and the plant can now start to go down. Guys, all he's got to do is hold this player inside of Freezer, and Rampy's able to pinch from the opposite side. Penguin from below, as Blaz, he's going to have to rotate himself up as well. Penguin's got himself into a pretty ropey spot here. Don't think he knows that there's going to be somebody just the other side of that reinforced panel. Blaz, he's got 1 health. What can he do from here? He's just been called out on a drone as his teammate has fallen. Skies from above. The skeleton key through the floor is going to do the trick. Not only is it for opening angles, it's also for taking out very low defenders. And that's exactly how Skies is going to work it. Great round there from SSG to close things off. Bit of a classic from them, that east-sided take demo. And they've managed to secure that first map.
Bosco, a huge kill that he got coming off the diffuser as that man swung around Ollie. We've seen it the last time they played against Parabellum, where they were in that exact same scenario where they went for that east-sided take. And the last time Bosco got picked off, diffuser's cold, and an SSG are running around like headless chickens. So the fact that Bosco has won that engagement is so vital. Yeah, if that diffuser gets dropped in that position, it's so difficult for SSG then to come back. So yeah, massive props to Bosco just for winning that engagement alone. But I think Skies, again, pushing up white stairs, kind of filling that role where Rampy didn't have the greatest of games, and Skies, he recognized that and he filled in for that role for Rampy today.
Exactly, we saw Rampy rotate at the last second, and it was a little bit concerning because you were thinking someone needs to be on white stairs, because otherwise Bosco's going to have the same problems we saw him have last time when SSG played Parabellum and this exact strat occurred. However, the change came through, the adaptation was there, and SSG as a team were able to pick up one another's slack. They are now going to go 2 maps up inside of this best of 5. We're going to throw to a very short break before coming back with a desk to break that one down and set ourselves up for Chalet. Don't go anywhere.
Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by How.
We know you hate it when you have to wait to get back into the game, but the wait will end in seconds. In real life, some people don't have the option to restart. Millions of refugees and displaced people have their lives on hold, eager for a chance to move forward. There are 84 million people around the world who were forced to flee due to war, conflict, violence, persecution, and climate change. And we are here to serve them, working day and night to provide them with life-saving aid and support. And you can be part of it. You can help people forced to flee gain access to life-saving aid like shelter, food, water, medicine, and much more. Donate to UNHCR. Help refugees and displaced families rebuild their lives.
The divisions in the world are stark. Recent years have shown some of the largest natural disasters ever in history. And that really hits hardest the people who had the least to begin with. These people need help. It would be a real tragedy if all these advances in science and health and technology only benefit people in a position to pay for them. There should be no lesser standard if you happen to be poor. These problems can be overcome. Direct Relief is a humanitarian, nonprofit health organization. The focus has been on the least fortunate, most vulnerable people. On a good day, things are tough for a lot of people in this world and in this country. And what we can do is mobilize private resources for their benefit and make it available free of charge. We're the first nonprofit in the history of the United States to obtain accreditation just like a commercial distributor. And it's been expanded geographically to every country in the world and every state and territory of the United States. What's now Direct Relief officially was started in 1948 as a private effort of a war immigrant businessman named William Zimden. The basic guiding principles of a war immigrant businessman really influence what Direct Relief has done ever since. And they begin with just serving the people who need help. We have this great privilege of engaging with people who come in from very different backgrounds, but with the same purpose of trying to just do something good. It doesn't matter if you're typing or talking on the phone or working on the warehouse floor. They're all part of an effort that means something bigger, and that is the fuel that kind of keeps you going. It gives you some sense that there is a way to make meaningful progress, even for a little organization that started at a kitchen table, but that's what provides motivation in life. The notion that many people, just by virtue of where they're born, the color of their skin, the country they live in, they're going to get sicker, they're going to stay sicker longer, and they're going to die sooner. That's pretty good motivation. These issues are too big for any one organization to address. We really work hard to honor these guiding principles, invite people to participate, and we are sure thankful for the thousands of people across the country and world who have become part of Direct Relief by virtue of their participation.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Jackie, Jing, and Jacob, and Jesse, and man, the first half, very back and forth there, but SSG sealing the deal, taking Kafe. So SSG is up 2 now. Jacob, SSG, they're sitting pretty. They're in a real good spot.
Yeah, when you win your opponent's map pick, that just has a tendency to happen. But the other thing that's important about this is the map that we're heading to right after is a map that we don't really have that much confidence in Parabellum in right now. So the chances of this being a very quick 2-map series for SSG heading into, I mean, nothing else. heading into nothing. This might just be SSG just winning 2 maps and ending the night fast.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a difficult one for Parabellum to claw back now. They're gonna need to win 3 in a row to win these grand finals and come in first in the Gamers Without Border charity tournament. For Spacestation, I think that they really did like come in prepared for this map, right? This was probably the most obvious pick Parabellum could have brought through, and we know how good SSG are at, you know, getting that stats back up, doing their VOD review, getting their prep together. They've got a very, very strong support staff, and I think they really did read into what Parabellum wanted to bring onto this map. Banning out the Thatcher, sure, easy, but then also the Azami, which is something that we've seen Parabellum use a lot throughout the different bomb sites on this map. All in all, though, I do think that SSG really closed out in that second half. Despite one Eska 1v1, they didn't have a single successful defensive half on the side of PB, or round on the side of PB, and that's definitely something that's going to need to be sharpened up towards that next map.
Yes, talking about the next map, Chalet, SSG's pick. Okay, so if they win the next map, it's done deal. This could be a very fast grand final. Jacob, Parabellum, they're kind of in rough shape here. What do they need to do to battle back?
Well, one, don't make a whole bunch of really weird mistakes, because ultimately that was the thing that I just figured was their kryptonite on defense when they played last map. There are some times where you can swing and sometimes where you just seriously need to not. You need to hold back, restrain yourself, even if you understand the opportunity for a kill is there. Sometimes it is just a better play to wait for a second and then hope that you waste enough time first before actually going for that aggressive play and losing a body early. That's just a kind of persistent problem that you have when you've got so much young talent on a team and you don't really have the means or like the direction to corral all of them back in before you go for plays like that. On a map like Chalet, it does kind of, that's the problem. It really enhances that style of gameplay if you go into it. If you want to turn it into a frag fest, Chalet is like a support net for that, just because of the intricacies and how you're able to time flanks and where the staircases are and where those default cams are at usually. And you can time those flanks very easily. And I think that's the kind of thing that they've leaned into, Parabellum have, on a map like Chalet in the past. But then they lost at 7-1 to Leftovers. That's still percolating in the back of my head as a really bad sign for this map specifically, and SSG might be able to exploit it.
Yeah, I'm really going to focus in on Gunnar, because I think he's one of the players that's been making a lot of those mistakes throughout the bracket so far, where he's a great fragger, he'll get those kills, but then he'll keep like pushing forward. He'll really overextend past, you know, where his utility might lie. There was a big moment at the beginning of the defensive half up in Piano where he made a big problem, a big push like that, got punished and lost his team the round. So I want to see a little bit more from Chalet and with Parabellum on their defenses. When we saw that 7-1 game against Leftovers, Parabellum looked lost on their setups. I really didn't like the bomb sites that they were bringing. They ran wine like 2 or 3 times. They didn't touch games until the final round. They tried to play the top floor. I don't know. I didn't like a lot of their defensive setups. So don't know what side they're starting on for this next map, but if it's defense, I'm definitely going to be a little bit skeptical of how this might turn out.
Yes, definitely a little bit nervous for Parabellum. If SSG wins this next map, grand final is over. So let's see if Parabellum has what it takes, or is SSG just gonna finish it? Let's hand it over to Ollie and Demo. Take it away. See ya.
Jackie, thank you very much indeed. Jacob and Jesse, thank you as well. We are going to be headed into our second map here, Demo. We're going to be going over to Chalet. And the desk sounds fairly convinced, I'll be honest. That was pretty damning if you're a Parabellum fan. This is looking like it could be a quick game for SSG. I'm not too sure. I like to back an underdog. I like to be fairly optimistic when it comes around to these things. But you've got to admit that the evidence is pretty compelling.
Yeah, SSG's pick. Parabellum got stomped on it yesterday. There's a lot not in favor of Parabellum just off those 2 facts alone. So yeah, they need to dig deep. They need to battle back. They need to find something. I would say the key is Blaz and Gunnar both show up. I think that's the key.
I would agree. We haven't seen them both show up on the same map just yet. At least on the same half. So if we do manage to get to see that, it could be quite tricky for SSG to just, go through the motions. They're going to really be put to the grindstone. Couple of question marks over the way that SSG played that Kafe as well. Whilst it was good and whilst they were able to get the win out there, it was by no means flawless, and there was players that we would expect a little bit more of, not necessarily showing us that same level of contribution that we've seen in the past. Now an off game here or there is nothing really to be concerned about. But you don't really want that to drag over into map number 2. Combinations of Parabellum stepping up and SSG maybe just taking the foot off the gas a little bit really could culminate in this being a bit more of a tricky one. The bans have been confirmed. We're going to see that Nook ban again, Demo.
It's something that's been a bit common over the past couple of days inside of North America. This has been, I think, this is maybe the 3rd time, I want to say, that we've seen a Nook ban. So it's certainly not like, oh, it's unusual. It's starting to become a little bit more common to say. Obviously, still like 3 bans isn't the highest, but it's something to go off. It just seems to be a personal target more than anything, I think, for SSG on the Parabellum. It's a map like Chalet where there is opportunities for crouch walk. I think it certainly is one that can favor that rat playstyle. So removing a rat operator could be quite valuable.
Absolutely. You know, you need to really look to try and deal with anyone that you think is going to be a bit of a problem. And we've already sort of theory crafted that, you know, we know the kind of player that Blaz can be. And he can be very problematic if given any sort of space to work with. There's so much crouch and, you know, sort of nooking potential here on Chalet as a map. Sometimes easier to just not deal with it at all. SSG going to be starting things off here on the defense. Taking us into Bar as their first choice site. Kind of strange, because Bar was a site, I mean, it was, albeit 2 different teams, it was Leftovers and Parabellum. We saw yesterday. But Bar wasn't a very popular site at all in that series. Oh, great kill there from Esker. Put your head in harm's way when there's an LMG on the other end, and it's only ending one way.
That was the L8, though, Ollie.
Oh, the L8. I mean, it could have been an LMG for all the good that it was.
He should be peeking that. He should be peeking that. He should not be peeking that anyway. That's the bottom line. Seems as if that Gunnar actually found Rampy as he was lurking towards solar side of things. So you know, an SSG player off by himself has been killed and nobody is there to go for the refrag. So again, sloppy from SSG to start things off with. They're still holding their ground, but this is really good pacing as well from Parabellum. Only 1:45. They've gained control of Office. They can now start looking for that utility dump in towards Blue. So yeah, this is looking really nice.
A couple of opening kills is always going to go a long way. Skies still has control of the shield at the top of Library. He's actually going to go looking for a little bit of trouble here, and he'll find it. Blaz hits him with a swing and is unfortunate to not pick off the head. You see the wall start to get open now. More burn will come through. Sky's forced down even further. He knows exactly what follows a flash, and it's usually a nade. Hot and cold. In position to take Blaz down, but a direct trade. Esker there with the cover. Finds himself a second inside of round number 1. Bosco and Skies. Long time to hold on. 55 seconds. As the floor's starting to get opened up above the site. They know they can't sit exactly inside. They've got to find a little safe haven. Or, as Skies is doing on the stairs, nearly takes out his teammate there, just keen for anything. Gunnar, he'll finish the job. Kool-Aid collects the last. Not quite a flawless from Parabellum, but nearly as good as.
Bosco in the hot seat there for the majority of the final couple of seconds. Just that yellow ping information. Combo that with the sledge from above, and yeah, equals a dead smoke. SSG giving it away. 2 picks. You think about that first one from Faults. No reason to peek. He's been punished for that. Should never happen. And then Rampy off by himself over towards Solar. So those 2 picks were probably easily avoidable on all accounts. And because they didn't respect Parabellum and what they can do, it means that they lose that man advantage, and then Parabellum have all the time in the world to think about what they want to do and then go from there.
Good pacing from Parabellum as well. They didn't get too far ahead of themselves there in that round after those couple of opening kills. A comment that we made about them a couple of times, Demo, has been that whilst they are efficient at getting that opening pick, they're not always able to hold on to it It's sometimes a little bit of a problem for them where they, you know, instead of get that opening pick and then hold on, they'll, you know, start challenging things unnecessarily or just get a little bit too aggressive. Nice to see them in that round take a moment to breathe. Heading to round number 2. Not going to be re-attempting the bar site, instead going to switch it up. Take us into kitchen dining. See if SSG can hold on to that top floor a little bit more effectively than they did previous. A good way to start is not to peek an angle that is being pre-fired, which I'm sure won't happen this time. But also, one change, the Azami is going to be brought in, but it's, as quickly as we mention it, it's going to be dealt with. Gunnar, he wastes no time, does he?
Nope. No time at all. It's a good start. Whenever Gunnar's starting to ramp up some kills, all you know it's going to be a good game from Parabellum. So again, SSG in the back foot right off the get-go. And it's all about the pacing now from Parabellum. It's how quickly they can establish control of that upstairs logistics. You'll see for the kitchen site primarily, Trophy never gets touched. You'll see nobody trying to hop in towards Trophy. The days are gone whenever Chalet, it was all about the Trophy clear out. That's done away with. It's all about kitchen. It's all about gaining control upstairs in logistics, being able to open up the floor and above, and getting a simple plant down behind the bomb chassis, because it's quite a nice blind spot that you can plant in. SSG do find 1 kill back, but really at what cost, Ollie? They've already lost 2 players for it, and look at the timing from Parabellum. Hasn't put a dent in their setup whatsoever. Blaz will take that engagement against Fultz and win it quite successfully now, 2 versus 4. Rampy and Bosco both coming back to the bomb site, but with that wall being open, it doesn't leave them with a lot of room of maneuverability, Ollie. They're going to be starved of really any space now, because Parabellum have all these long angles that just play into their favor.
Becomes incredibly difficult for SSG to really get something going now. Bosco trying to bait out the player on the window, but all the while the plant is going to be going down. Penguin is going to find a kill onto Rampy, and the second as he hops himself through the window. Players don't quite line up for him, but nearly as good as. He had an inkling that Bosco was going to be dug in behind the corner, and he would have been correct. Parabellum, 2 very convincing rounds here.
SSG had just given away that opening pick, and Parabellum then being able to run off that momentum very successfully. They're doing everything by the book, Ollie. Everything is clear-cut. It's a lot better than I think what we were seeing on Kafe, where there's a few rounds where we didn't really know what they were going for. They looked as if they didn't have any direction during some of those rounds. You can see straight away what they're going for. Everything's right to the point. We're doing this, we're getting this, we're opening this, we're doing that. Everything is clear as day.
And that's exactly what it needs to be. It needs to be militant. It needs to be checklist. Because that's exactly how SSG will play it. Can't afford to give up anything here. Parabellum have responded fantastically to that Kafe game. Got to consider that we didn't even see them find any success after they changed half. So for them to be able to bounce back, it had been a while since they'd really won a round or seen any success. Everything they were doing was just being met by SSG. And now it's almost as if the shoe's on the other foot. Now, granted, Chalet is one of the more attacker-sided maps in the pool. A lot of opportunities for attackers to take advantage of being able to maneuver defenders and get picks without fully committing to the building. Nades become a big part of that. The fact that there are so many windows and so many angles and crosses that can be held on that top floor make it a little bit difficult to find those pockets of safety, especially when you've got utility being burnt in and around. Yeah, the Dokubi call just ringing out there. I don't think Eska's going to get lucky on that angle again, Demo.
No, nobody should peek him. I hope not. I really hope not. Fultz gave himself up very early on. I think if SSG just go back to sitting on their hands, don't move. We know SSG are so good at crossfires. The way they establish their refrags, Ollie, second to none. I think if they just do that, they'll have no issues. We've kind of mentioned Parabellum. The refrag game has been probably one of their biggest issues, hasn't it? That's been their weak point, is they move in one by one. Sure, somebody gets a kill, but then they get trade off straight away, but nobody is there to respond. If somebody dies from SSG, 9 times out of 10, there's somebody who will appear with a kill.
Let's typically the way that it goes. Fultz finds himself as down.
He stick his head out again.
Off there by Esker. He's got himself into harm's way, hasn't he, really? Gunner's going to storm on through now into Library, but he's not even going to be required. Rampy going to be fighting his way up the stairs. Gunner, he was thirsty for anything in that round. He was coming to the aid of Esker in Library. Turns out, all he needed to do was turn his attention toward Library stairs to collect the last. Parabellum is storming away with this one. 3 rounds on the bounce.
What a great start, a complete turnaround from where they were yesterday on Chalet. I mean, Ollie, we looked at how they played against Leftovers. It wasn't even a matchup. It felt like it was just so one-sided, but now Parabellum, they've really turned on the style. And SSG, they're just getting steamed. Look at SSG. Who do you pick out?
Not really many options, is the demo?
Nope.
When does the timeout come? That's what I want to know.
That's a good point.
I would have been perfectly happy with the timeout there before we go into round 4. Try and get your heads together and figure out what's going wrong, let out a little bit of frustration, have a conversation as a team. Give you a chance to reassess what's happening. Still have a chance at salvaging an equal half. Not that there isn't that chance still now, but we typically say that a timeout is good for at least 1 round. A lot of teams will be able to rally and find the next round after a timeout.
Esker loves this balcony, doesn't he? He's always there, and for good reason. Fultz keeps gifting him kills over towards that side of the map, so he's going to keep coming back for more as best as he can. Sadly, though, Esker Fultz is not in that same position. Instead, he's downstairs on bar now, and I think it's hot and cold. He's a bit more of an aggressive stance in towards top fireplace. So Parabellum maybe just looking for a rush in. He'll ollie straight in towards office. This could be very risky for them, but I have a suspicion it actually might work for them.
Well, the Gon 6 will break down the barricade. Kool-Aid straight through. Gunner already picks himself up 2. Adrenal Surge just to give him a little bit of extra chance here as the plant is being covered. Fultz from below finds 1, but he's got to do a lot more than that. Plant being confirmed, 1 versus 3, and he's left scratching his head. The breach, it's not open. What's gone on? They've just rushed through balcony. Fultz maybe finds himself a little bit of a corner here, sees if he can pick off any players on the rotation.
Take the time to talk, I think.
This is not an attempt at a retake. This is an attempt at grabbing 30 seconds to talk to the team.
Little pocket strap works a charm for Parabellum. It just had a feeling, Ollie, that it was going to work out. It's probably the last thing I think SSG was expecting. And probably because they sent in a good few people towards Library, didn't they? Almost to bait an SSG, and SSG will see that push straight away and say, okay, they're going for Library. Generally, for that top floor, you either attack Solar Side or you attack Library. If you see people kicking about Library right off the rip, you'll give that information saying, okay, they're going for Library. There's a hefty amount of people off site. Parabellum bait them in, and then they switch the play, rush into office. Gunner leading the charge. Important opening kill in those rushes. I always think the first kill is the most important for those rushes for the attackers. Because if you lose that first man who's in, you have no idea what's going on.
I mean, if the first player through the door is a Finker demo, it's going to be very difficult, isn't it? Gunner did a great job of catching 2 kills. I'm not entirely sure how he got the kill onto the player in bathroom, I'll be honest with you. That player in the bathroom he was melting away into the wall. It was a great shot from Gunner. And then to flick onto the player inside a bedroom as well. At that point, when the first 2 have gone down and the diffuser's already halfway planted, you're just thinking to yourself, it's just a matter of time for this round. It'll be very difficult to try and retake from that. Again, SSG not bringing the timeout. I don't know if this speaks to a level of confidence or cockiness that they feel as though they can just get this done when they switch on to the attack regardless of the side switch. But they're going to have to pick up something.
Need something, anything they can. Sure, Chalet, you would favor the attackers in most occasions. But usually a 4-2 is kind of the norm. So SSG, they need to get these next 2 rounds if they have any hope of winning this map. Parabellum walk away with even a 5-1. Oof, that's going to be difficult for SSG. Difficult for any team in the world to come back from that. Just Parabellum all here to play right now. Gunner 8-2, storming away on the scoreboard. 2 kills around. That is difficult to do, but he's making it look easy.
Again, we're seeing Gunner pop off. And
There
he's
he is.
been consistent tonight so far. Picks himself up an opener. He'll pay for
That
it
was
this
too
time.
much.
Fultz is there, ready and waiting. Now, how are things going to go for Parabellum without their star player, without that big fragging power that Gunner brings on the Finker? It's going to be time for somebody else to step up into those shoes. They're all very capable. But he has been storming in and getting multi-kills left, right, and centre. And without that, you are going to be a little bit lost.
Blaz, maybe looking to jump in to Trophy. Shield upstairs, it's going to be a bit of an issue. And overall, that utility's still up and alive. Even flashes his own teammates. Kool-Aid with the flashbang, in goes the nade, will secure the destruction onto the shield. Blaz finds Fultz as he's found a pick. He was lurking around Trophy for a very, very long time, and now will repel up to the solar windows. SSG not in the greatest of positions now, as they will start to be pinched from both angles. The drone work is being done, so you know there's plenty of people. Hot and Cold will find Kool-Aid. Bosco whips out the pistol. Hot and Cold swings the EMP, but Penguin will shut him down. Bosco reloads the AUG. Ready to go. Will he win it? Yes, he will. A 2 versus 2 now. Bosco keeps it rolling. He keeps on going, and Blaz is probably wondering what's just happened. Only it was a 4 versus 3, and now it's a 1v2.
Not a position you should really be finding yourself in as Blaz collects the diffuser. He's got 35 seconds to play with. There's likely going to be some destruction happening here as he sends in the Rotero drone. He's going to remove the hatch and a portion of the floor. Not got a lot of time, really, to be dealing with all this sort of fanciful drone work when you've only got a short amount of time to get the job done. 15 seconds ticks on by. Toxic Babes are going to start to slow down his approach. He has no option but to storm through. Bosco is waiting to collect. Hugging that bomb chassis. Just gets the briefest of shadows through the smoke, but he knows exactly what that is.
My goodness, this upstairs tussle ollie, Bosco played out of his skin. I would say that if Penguin's going for that kill, there needs to be that refrag. That's been the only thing that we've mentioned about Parabellum that we just haven't been sold on, is how good they can trade off one another. And I think that's just been showcased. They're still struggling with it.
And what happens when you lose the player that's going 9-3, or at the time 9-2? You are losing out on some of that early kill pressure, and early kill pressure usually results in, you know, more time in the late game, more time late round to get things done.
Rampy and Skies struggling on Chalet. I mean, Rampy this series so far has struggled big time. Only, what's that? 4 kills in the past 16 rounds, is that?
It's not looking great. Skies is having a quiet Chalet, but he popped off on Kafe. So maybe just a more matter of time for Skies before he starts getting a couple of, I mean, I'll be honest with you, there wasn't really any kills getting thrown about in the first 3 rounds because Parabellum were just so dominant. This is the time for SSG. They've got to salvage this into a 2-4.
Rampy's on the Warden though, so realistically Ying shouldn't be that much of an issue. Well, for the Warden at least. Everyone else, it's gonna be tricky, but for that one player, Rampy needs to make sure he is in the correct position. Needs to almost, as a Warden, I feel as if you need to follow the Ying. That's how I feel. I feel as if you need to kind of like predict where the Ying's going to be and to make sure you're in that position. Because the Ying's just going to be sprinting through. If you're a Warden, yeah, that's going to be the best surprise, because the Ying's going to move in through, just expecting that nobody can see her, and all of a sudden, bang, the Warden standing there with the goggles on, and you've been killed.
Is this like the follow the ball game at the fairground where there's 3 cups and 1 ball?
It's like a game of tag.
Just a game of TIG.
That's it.
Gunner.
Go, Gunner.
Doesn't waste any time.
Dear.
Gets full white flashed by his own Ying and taken down. That has not worked at all. You don't need some fancy glasses to pick that one up. Hot and Cold. He's going to find one onto Penguin. Parabellum falling apart here on that approach. Some terrible timing. Blaz will see a bit of success. Manages to pick up a cheap kill over onto Fultz. Caught looking the wrong way. It's not the entire man count regained, but it's something to level it out. Blaz picks himself up a second. Blaz going seriously unchecked here. Kool-Aid is going to have a line of sight on through. Can he look to try and take advantage of it? You can see that a large portion of the site is going to be clear here, but he needs to give a bit more of a thorough drone to get a full picture as to what exactly is going on. He's concerned by Rampy's C4 at the moment.
Yeah, they still have plenty of time here, and not only the fact that he knows the office is clear is going to be a massive boost. And with Blaz downstairs, I'm sure with some information, maybe a drone being left behind, they can definitely stop anyone with a C4 below. Rampy, you see the C4 is out of his inventory at the moment. Hot and Cold has somehow proned his way through into office now, so they are in a better position to try and deny that plant going down, but it's still not the greatest of positions. Skies has the shotgun inside a piano. The Warden goggles will see for the smoke, will catch the Twitch. That is a great use of the gadget. Eska tries to cover now. It's a 1 versus 1 diffuser. Is Cold on the ground. Rampy sees the lineup. We said he hasn't had a good series, but Ollie, he makes up for it with a great round. 2 massive kills from the Warden.
Doesn't matter how many kills you've got before that round, you need to get those 2. And Rampy did just exactly that. Salvage the 2-4 split here. As you said at the time, fantastic use of the goggles. Keeping himself nice and still, getting that full sight picture, and then just not overcommitting. Bled and Eska walk to him, the diffuser's cold, and Rampy knows it. Managing to keep his head cool there in the clutch. Bit of momentum here for SSG. It's definitely what they needed after the start of this map. Managed to find themselves 2 rounds on the defense. Now the hard work really starts for Parabellum. They've got a lead. They've got to now keep it.
SSG's done well to pull things back. It was not looking good at all. 4-0, sitting there thinking, wow, how does it get better for SSG? Well, they've shown us. They have shown us. You have to look at that last round though, Ollie, from Parabellum. Just that opening. That opening was the real issue. Executing through, and you're using the Yings. I get you use the Ying to, you know, obviously aggress on, flash out as many defenders as you can, but it should be the Ying going in first, not the Finka. Why is the Finka going in? Finka isn't immune to the flashes. And that was shown.
Yeah, Gunnar knows how Candelas work as well. That's just, it's a heat of the moment mistake that you look back on and you know that it's silly. Was it a misplay from Gunnar? Did he mistime the jump in? Did he get miscommunicated to as to exactly when the Candela was going in or going off? Whatever the disconnect, it can't be allowed to continue because things like that really start to become quite costly. I don't think it's any sort of, you know, coincidence that the 2 rounds that SSG picked up were rounds where Gunnar got picked off extremely early.
So now we switch over to the attacks for SSG. The attacks were very good from them on Kafe. Defenses were not the speciality for Parabellum on that map. Let's see if things are going to change for them on Chalet. Guys, that's a Claymore just in the middle of a doorway. Wouldn't be surprised if it finds somebody just because of how weird it is. It's, you know, usually you would see that as that's a bad Claymore, but it's that bad that it's actually good.
It's like bad frost mats. There's no such thing. There is no such thing as a bad frost mat. There's no such thing as a bad Claymore. The more weird and wonderful the placement, the more likely they are to get pulled off because you're just not expecting them at all. Flores going to be sent on through to try and deal with some of those Kibas that have been placed up, some of those Azami concrete barriers, of which there's going to be no more. Rampy, it's a great pick there over onto Gunnar. He knew exactly what was happening there. The communication between him and Fultz, second to none. Tries to pre-fire his way a second in through onto the bathroom. Great C4 from Eska. Does something to shut down Fultz's aggressive push on this top floor. Skies still dueling. He knows that there's somebody inside of Solarium, at least there was recently. Rampy on the bathroom as well. They're all trying to converge onto this location. Pre-fire through the wall is hot and cold. He's getting a bit more site-centric, looking to focus his aggression a little bit harder. 30 seconds here for SSG to play with. There's still enough time. 4 versus 3. They need to start getting themselves set up for the next stage of the plan. A kill traded 1 for 1. Bosco finds the re onto Kool-Aid. Penguin rotating back on into sight. Rampy, what a great pick there onto Blaz. Had to hit the drop shot just to guarantee it. It's going to be Bosco to finish things off. Makes his way down those trophy stairs. I didn't even see that player through that broken wall demo. I'm not going to lie.
They did. That's all that matters. When's the last time you seen SSG just go for kills? That's what it was, wasn't it? It was not plant orientated at all. It was just pick off as many people as you could and win the round on man count. Whenever I see faults into Flores, he's so good on that operator, isn't he? It's a real signature for him. He's in his element. Just being able to push in those drones, clear out the Izami, give a freebie over towards that Finka, over towards Rampy and the piano window. It's just a work of art. It really, really is. And then SSG from there, they have the upstairs control. They start then just finding their picks. It's probably the only issues that I think Kitchen and Bar, both of them really suffer from, is as soon as that upstairs control is in favor of the attackers, there's nowhere safe to sit. It's so difficult. You just get pushed out of the bomb site, and then it's really easy to plant because there's just so many things you can plant behind. I mean, Chalet, in terms of attacking it, I think the reason why it is a little bit more attacker-sided is it has really good plant positions. You think about the plant positions on each main bomb site. Yeah. They're all in really safe position. You have half wall for upstairs. You think about the basement. You have that little, where the barrels are inside a wine. You can get yourself tucked in to a corner in there. Really strong. Obviously, Bar has the big long bar you can plant behind at any time. And then for Kitchen, you have that bomb chassis and that dining table. Just really strong positions you can plant in with very little downsides.
They're also great post plants as well. You can really get yourself safe.
Just back off, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, you can watch a lot of it from outside. Always is a benefit.
It's just easy to get a
being
plant
brought
down.
this time. We kind of mentioned the frost, didn't we, in the previous round demo?
You said there's not a bad one.
There isn't a bad one. I mean, we'll find out if there's a great one, if Blaz gets himself a pick. Oh, unfortunate there for Gunnar. I think he just missed his Kiba. Been downed. Nade going to get sailed on in.
Yes.
Not going to connect, though.
At least he's up. Could have been worse. Could have just died outright, but he's still alive and kicking. But it's good amount of damage being done to Gunnar. Skies is looking just to slip in now as he's going to push in from below up towards the bottom of blue stairs. Will catch Penguin. Oh, but doesn't see Aska. He just sat in Bar. Parabellum. Sitting in these weird positions is working out for them. More drone work needs to be done by SSG. I think that was shown there. This guy just gets picked off where really if just one drone was sent in, maybe it would have been a free kill to SSG instead because Eska was not in a good position at that stage. Caught between a rock and a hard place. One guy pushing in from Bar, one guy outside the main door looking in towards lobby. So yeah, drone work needs to be checked there by SSG.
Around that minute and 10 point in the round. Rampy going to get himself up onto the balcony, see if there's any angles that he can find through bathroom and through into solar. Potential to have a little look into the piano room as well, but he won't get further than checking the bathroom. Gunnar immediately taken down. Rampy, bit of a magnet for the kills in the past couple of rounds, considering he didn't do much on the defense. He got two really important ones. Only a couple of rounds of attack have been by, and he's already got himself up to 5 and a level 5-5. So really providing that value, particularly since getting onto the Finka. Eska going to try and deal with that Ossa shield. Instead, we'll turn around and deal with Rampy. The impact goes out, but it's not going to be enough. The plant is still going down. He tries to aggress, but Piano is being held by Bosco. Bosco keeps himself alive. The plant has been stopped for the time being. 1 versus 3 here for Blaz. Kool-Aid down and unlikely to be recovered. Kool-Aid just trying to advance forward and gather a little bit of information for his teammate. Kool-Aid wasn't able to gather sufficient info.
Very strong from SSG. A great attack. Good work in the early game. And from there, like we mentioned, Ollie kind of talked about how easy it is to plant. And I think whenever you have the Ossa shields in way of that also, it just makes it just 10 times easier for not only getting the plant down, but that post plant as well.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Well done, we're at 4-4.
We are indeed.
There was a time in this game where it didn't feel like we were going to get here.
Parabellum won 4 in a row. SSG have won 4 in a row.
Oh, how the turns have tabled.
The only difference is SSG won defenses, which Parabellum have not done yet.
There's still time. There is still time. Parabellum do need to start finding some success here, though.
They go downstairs. This was the only bomb site. This is actually the only round that they won yesterday against Leftovers and Chalet. Was this bomb site?
5 seconds left before insertion.
That's all we can talk about. That's it. That's the only thing Parabellum did well yesterday. Was they won this site once.
I mean, they did other things well.
7-1, did they?
They did the other maps well. They just didn't do Chalet particularly well.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the back of your mind as well as SSG, knowing how badly Parabellum got beaten yesterday on this very map. It's got to give you that sort of little bit of a confidence boost. It's a bit of a buff, whether you know it or not, to how you're feeling about this one. Rampy trying something there with a nade. Gets the call from his teammate that, actually, no need. It's one of the things that Rampy is incredible for, and, you know, we spoke about this previously, Demo, is the ability with the grenades. Now, I've always been a big advocate. If you're going to play somebody, you need to know that operator inside and out. If they've got 2 nades, you need to know exactly how you're going to be using them. How every single element of the nade, how many seconds you need to cook it for, where in the time you need to throw it to be able to hit the wall, how far away you need to be, all of these different things. And Rampy knows exactly that. He is so consistent with these up nades.
Yeah, the entries need to be proficient in their nade work. So, like, gone are the days where it was only really the flex players who had to worry about getting good grenades going in. Now it's the entries who need to do all that whenever Finka and Iana are so dominant as the 2 primary entries, both of which having grenades, you need to be on your game for it. Rampy was 0-5, now he's 6-6. He has pulled back magnificently in this game, Ollie, and this is where you start to worry if you're Parabellum, because if Rampy's playing well, you're in for a world of hurt, and everyone else, I think, just gets uplifted by that. Just that fact of knowing that Rampy's here to play, it's such a confidence boost for SSG.
Look at what SSG have been able to do up to this point. You know, Rampy didn't have a great game on Kafe. They still won Kafe. They've still managed to get themselves level. Obviously, he's had a big part to play about that since getting onto the attack. But everything just gets so much easier when we start getting expected performance out of players. Fultz finds an important frag onto Penguin. Skies is at it again with that skeleton key. I can hear it on the other side of the map, Demo. It's going to be hot and cold to pick up that last kill. Parabellum. No more. They need a pause. They need to take stock here. Everything is on the line. And SSG, they're only 2 rounds away.
What a round. Hands of a surgeon, the way SSG cut across that defense. They played it slow, they played it patient. The information in that early game to get Rampy his opening kill with the nades. Fultz being able to play off that hard destruction, peeking with the twitch. And that's one thing that SSG done very well, was realize that, hey, there is a shed load of reinforced walls. If we open them up, it's going to be so difficult for anybody in Parabellum to sit in a safe position. And you've seen that from Parabellum. Nowhere was safe. Nowhere was safe, and that's where they were getting picked off from.
Is a timeout enough here for Parabellum to right their wrongs? They're going to be going down to Bar and Gaming as their site choice. I think for SSG, they're not going to be too concerned where it is at this point. Attacker repick or not, they're going to be moving through with confidence, knowing that we have got them on the back foot. We have got them rattled here. SSG have managed to take control of the map, find themselves in the lead for the first time so far here on Chalet. Can they extend that lead to a match and series point?
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Big round now for Parabellum. This either gets them back into the game, and we get a 5-5, or SSG, that momentum just keeps building, and that Rios has done absolutely nothing. Very important round. Very, very important round now. SSG, they've brought in the Ying Ollie. They've got the Lion, they've got the Jackal. Only one form of hard breach, and it's not the most traditional form. It's the Maverick. So you would expect the SSG are going to be playing very quick with the executes. I would say probably into library and then straight into the bomb site. That would probably be the fundamentals that they should go for. Oh, they could be going for the M&M strat, Ollie, where you try and get the Maverick in below, move up towards the lobby stairs, and Maverick open the single wall inside of the stockroom, inside of the connector. And whenever you Maverick that open, you clear away that very strong position, and then you could just jump in the double window and plant with ease.
Lion Scan comes out. We do see this wall now get opened as well. Fultz was putting a bit of shot through that as it was happening. Parabellum, they likely know what comes next here. Do they anticipate it being a Ying? SSG just going to rotate themselves round. They don't need to rush this. That's one of the beautiful things about a rush round, is that it doesn't need to all happen inside of the first minute. You can still rush at any point. It just depends on when you put that pressure on and how quickly everything starts to fall into place. SSG biding the time. By no means do they need to throw this one away lightly. Fultz is just going to be playing flank watch downstairs as a little bit of work starts to go on now in library. That's where Bosco is going to be focusing a little bit of his attention for the meantime. Candelas likely going to get sent out. They need to try and deal with the player that's going to be tucked into the corner.
Nades getting tossed in, and that's actually maybe a bit of a bait there for Rampy then to maneuver in, find the kill, but a good C4 in return will catch Rampy as he tried to get out of there. So 4 versus 4, a minute to go. SSG are very spread out, Ollie. It's like the four corners of the wins is where they're at. What are they going to go for? I really do not know. It looks to be the double window is where their attention is drawn towards. They still have the utility with the Ying, Ollie. The Candelas have to nail it. Bosco has to try and get this diffuser down as well, as he is the carrier.
We hear the Lion Scan go out. Sky's caught inside a mudroom. Needs to open the barricade before he can do all too much. Fultz picks one up onto Esker. Skies managed to avoid the majority of the Candelas there, but didn't avoid Blaz. Blaz with the swing. He will be instantly traded. Gunner still upstairs in library. That's a player that SSG have been unable to shift inside of there. Kool-Aid finds himself 2 really important kills. He was full white flash for the second one as well. Hot and Cold has to do it all. Picks himself up 1, grabs the kit, 10 seconds. Gunner has rotated inside of main lobby now, inside of the fireplace, and Hot and Cold has no clue where he is. Gunner, all you got to do is move on through. You can't let the plank go down, and he won't.
That was close.
Down to the wire stuff there. I wonder if Hot and Cold had just hit a flick of a headshot. That could have potentially gone SG's way.
He hit him. If he had another second to get another shot off, then I think Gunner would have went down, but still Parabellum hold on. So, the timeout has worked for the meantime. But then again, SSG, I wouldn't say played that the greatest. Probably not the idea that they had there with that strategy.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
Losing Rampy with that C4 that was tossed out by Yaska was very important. I think probably SSG were relying on Rampy then to be in a strong position, keep him alive, then use him to maybe burst in with the Ying or give cover, whatever you need him to do. So I think losing Rampy was a slight issue. And SSG just really couldn't find a way of how they wanted to take that approach and how they wanted to attack.
Five all square.
10 seconds left.
This is where it starts to get a little bit scary. Parabellum.
5 seconds left.
They've managed to find 1 round. As we mentioned, a timeout is usually good for a round. It's then on the team to roll that momentum into another, and potentially another if it's required, and in this instance, it would be. Still the potential to go to overtime in this game, which is, I would wager, the more likely outcome at this point, Demo. Especially with what's on the line. Parabellum. Next 2 rounds could define everything for them here. We've already mentioned such a young side, you know, recent pickups of Gunnar and Blaz. You need to be
Here we go.
giving it your all and giving it your best, and SSG, they're just going to throw the kitchen sink at it and be met by Kool-Aid. 40 seconds, Demo. What's going on? We've got 4 players dead.
They didn't throw the kitchen sink, they threw the round ollie. That's what they did. Jumping in through West Main. Don't know what they were thinking. And SSG, they had a lead. It looks to be all of a sudden Parabellum are back in it. 6-5, they should lead unless they toss this round away. A counter throw, perhaps. This guy has the LMG, and yep, not even a chance. Parabellum somehow have been gifted a round, and that puts them on match point, Ollie. What's going on from SSG?
There's got to be question marks as to why that round played out the way that it did. SSG haven't needed to play the previous 2 rounds in the fashion that they've played them in. Things were working well for SSG on their attacks. They weren't needing yings, they weren't needing rush rounds, they weren't needing these sort of things. Just going through the motions was enough. Now they find themselves in a real tough spot. They could have dealt with this in a very straightforward way, and they still can. But for the meantime, Parabellum are the team that are on a match point and threatening to take this to another map.
I have no idea how this is gonna go. So we do head into this office and bedroom site. Last time SSG, they were pulling at the Ossa, which helped them a lot in that kind of post-plant position. Even just getting the plant down, it helped them out. Not this time, though. Much more atypical lineup from what we're used to seeing from SSG. A lot of strong entries. We're not only seeing just a Finka, but even the Yana comes in from hot and cold. And faults on that floor is, of course, that staple operator. He's always going to get good value out of him. Especially whenever you look at how dominant these Kiva barriers can be from Gunnar, who has taken a bit of a liking to Azami. Just being able to move in, and look at all that utility you can destroy. It's great. Hot and cold does some good information. Sees one on the top fireplace. So SSG, they're slowly getting the pieces together, Ollie. They just need to fit them together.
It's like when you turn the jigsaw upside down, or the jigsaw box upside down on the dining room table, and yeah, all the pieces are here. Just build the edge first. Start with the sky. It's usually nice and straightforward. Now you just got to go through and tick everything off. Rampy, he's going to start. Takes Penguin down. Is he going to be able to find a second? Not looking to work too far ahead of the drones. Conscious, of course, of the flanks as well. Belt and braces stuff from SSG. They understand that they've maybe let a couple of rounds slip here. They can't afford to do the same inside of this one, not with Parabellum threatening a third map. Wall going to start to get open now as well. Sky's got a bit of a line of sight. Maybe find a bit further round if he looks through into Piano, but Gunnar is going to be there, ready and waiting. Fultz now tries to take that up. Hot and cold from below, just going to try and remove a little bit of utility. Likely a mute jammer that's stopping those Ixcaros pellets from going off. All of this is doing quite a great deal to slow SSG down.
Minutes ago, in terms of denial, still one C4 from Blaz that can be tossed out. Either from below or just from sight. Rampy maybe looking to rotate towards his favorite window. That Piano window, it's a signature position he likes to get himself into. Can create those crossfires and apply pressure to the man inside of Piano. But SSG is going to wait, get the drone work done. Flores drones as well being sent in. Piano will be clear. Good information being found out by Bosco. Let's see if they can capitalize off that. Rampy opens up the bathroom window, but I just think they need to try and eliminate this man inside of Piano's fault. Just walks in. Kool-Aid will be burned alive. Rampy gets shot down. Bosco finds Eska. Hot and cold's also in the site. Bosco with 3 in the round. A massive 2 kills back to back. Bosco gonna try and get the C4 down. Blaz, can he land the C4? Yes, he can. Bosco's down. Diffuser cold. Hot and cold up against Blaz in a 1v1. We'll try and plant behind the Kiba barrier. Blaz isn't moving. Doesn't have the information. Now it's gonna be a 1 versus 1. Diffuser planted. Oh, look at this. The Kiba barrier in favor of Hot and Cold goes to the swing and wins it. Oh, Blaz was too slow on the approach. Hot and Cold, he takes the plunge. That's a perfect 10 out of 10 dive. SSG alive and well. They're still in it, Ollie. We go to overtime.
Overtime is where we end up. We had an inkling that it was going to end up in an overtime here. Very back and forth between these two teams. Not in terms of every single round. Both teams have been on streaks. Parabellum have really pulled it out of the bag when they had to. Bringing it to an overtime. And SSG, well, keeping themselves in it. Still a chance to get this done here and now on Chalet for SSG. They've got to run it back. They're going to be starting the overtime on attack. I would say that that favors them. Their attacks have been, for both teams, miles better than their defensive rounds. What a clutch to take us into OT as well. Hot and Cold. I honestly thought when I saw the C4 below, I was like, Blaz has to have this. Like, Hot and Cold has to play very good siege from here on out to come away with the win.
As well as Hot and Cold did to win that 1v1, which you have to credit him for, what Bosco was able to do.
Yeah, I mean, Bosco moved, yeah.
Just moves on him like nobody's business. Slips in, 2 kills, massive 2 kills, opens up the site. I think Blaz, yeah, really, we see him got that C4 kill. Sure, that was a given, but then slowing down on the approach up the blue stairs was really surprising because naturally the first instinct for Hot and Cold, as soon as Bosco goes down, is he needs to then plant.
Yeah.
He's never going to be expecting, oh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit and wait at blue stairs, wait for Blaz to run up. Nobody's that big brain, are they?
Speaking of big brains, Demo, we were having a chat with our wonderful analysts prior to going into this game, and Jesse said that it was going to be a 7-0 to SSG. I asked him if he was joking. I thought he was pulling our legs, and he was, nope. I'm guaranteeing it. It's going to be a 7-0. I was like, you do realize you've just cursed this game to go to overtime, don't you? He was like, nope, don't believe in curses. Well, here we are.
He's Canadian Judas. He doesn't have faith in Canadians, and even though he
doesn't have faith in
even though
Parabellum,
he is
does he?
one,
Yeah.
he is Judas.
So, here we go. Potentially going to all 15 to find out who's going to be winning this map. I think the SSG being able to roll that momentum through, you know, obviously they've just come off their attacking phase, now they get attacking OT. That's got to be massive for them, Demo.
It is. It certainly is. How do SSG want to approach this? That Kiba barrier will keep Rampy at bay. Cuts off a lot of his vision. Has to use a nade. Mentioned before about these barriers, Ollie. Just have to waste nades on them. It's so... Yeah, it just feels bad, doesn't it? It feels bad to waste a nade on a Kiba barrier where you'd much rather use that on the shield or simply to get a kill.
We're going to see a hop in here from Rampy, guys. Hot and Cold and himself have already picked up a kill apiece. SSG just flicks the switch there and they said, yep, now is the time. Take your challenges. The site is going to be getting opened up above Kool-Aid. Rampy is going to pick himself up yet another. Kool-Aid stops it from being a flawless. He's got a bit of information to use here, but 45 seconds. Going to get taken down from the window. Bit of unfortunate timing there, but it was coming whether he liked it or not. SSG going to call a timeout of their own, Demo.
Okay.
That's a funky timeout. I know that SSG are known for funky bans.
I mean, when else are you going to use it? When else are you going to use it?
There is no other time. If this all goes to plan, SSG get the win here and it's all over.
That SSG round that we just witnessed, everyone managed to find a man, didn't they? We've seen free kills come in, what, the space of a second between one another? And whenever that happens, then there's 2 people left on site from Parabellum. It's like, oh, it's a 2v5. What's happened? Because everyone in SSG just found an individual pick. Just that bar and stock has not been, bar and game should say, it hasn't been the greatest, Ollie. It's been very hit or miss. And there's a miss for the defense. So SSG Look at their site selection, Ollie. They can go anywhere. Anywhere they want. Kitchen is the choice. Haven't they been rolled in Kitchen?
I mean, everybody got rolled everywhere on defense. At least once. So I don't think that there's a favorable side to go to here. This really comes down to personal preference. Obviously, with the timeout prior, this could be an opportunity for SSG to show us one of their many pocket strats, although on the defense, pocket strats do have a little bit less impact. You really just got to set your stall and let the attackers come to you. Let's see if they can get it done here and now. Avoid going to maximum overtime, and of course avoiding the need for another map in this best of 5.
Attackers have discovered the location of the bomb.
A lot on the line here for Parabellum as well. We've got to remember that, you know, for all that we've spoken about, that, you know, Gunnar and Blaz are new pickups and they've come in and seemingly hit the ground running, Demo. This is still, you know, quite a big showing for them. They're going toe-to-toe with one of the best in North America, and they're doing it for a spot at a LAN finals.
5 seconds to insertion. Attackers are heading out to defuse.
Here we go. Here we go. SSG. Onto the kitchen they go. A lot of stuff that Parabellum need to go through, Ollie. You've got the concrete barriers, you've got the castle, barricades, even Maestro cameras are going to soak up a bit of explosive damage also. And whenever you filter in a Wamai to assist with that, yeah, there's a lot that Parabellum have to chew through. They've also brought in the IQ, Ollie. For what reason? I don't know. No Valkyrie being shown by SSG, no real electronics apart from Maestro cameras. So, the way you look at IQ as well, yes, a good operator, we know it's a good operator only, but if you look at the lineup it's up against, she doesn't bring anything that's going to help with the utility clear. She doesn't have any throwables.
Yeah, I mean, it brings the G8, but is that really
it's
what
the commando
here?
here. It's the commando.
Oh, he's rocking the commando even, so it's not even that. Certainly a strange choice. There's a lot more that you could bring that would be of benefit. Gunnar immediately going to get keyboard off there of the bathroom. Nothing that a couple of quick melee strikes won't sort out.
Attackers have located
Hot and Cold knows that he's going to be there. Got to be careful where you move in and around that bathroom now. As soon as the Thinker, or whoever it is for that matter, gets onto that balcony, it does cut through the map in some ways. Another keyboard barrier going to be placed. Not a bad way of burning through them, really. It's a little bit timely, but still going to maintain that angle.
Not a lot of time. Minute 15 to go. Parabellum need to start looking for some picks. So you can see that they're not wanting to aggress as what they've showcased in the past. They're very, very patient, but SSG are not wanting to move. Penguin will open up with 2 kills. 2 massive kills. Almost catches a third as Rampy gets out of dodge. A minute to go, and that's a great start. Penguin, who we kind of commended, Ollie, on Kafe, can make those great individual moments, and, well, he showcased that here at Chalet.
Big playmaker, without a doubt. Not always the most consistent flashy kill, or kill go-getter, but certainly when it counts.
Whenever nothing's going on, he's there to make something happen.
Sometimes you just got to make the play, and I think that's the situation Parabellum found himself in. Skies, he's getting chunked down as Fultz falls next to him. Skies knows someone's going to be coming on through here, but you can't contend with a full HP Gunnar. Rampy. 5 kills. Could be on. Picks up 3, 4. Blaz takes him down. Demo. That was nearly one of the greatest moments we've seen.
And that would have been Diffuser cold on the ground as well, Ollie. He killed the Diffuser carrier in the midst of that. Oh, I actually think he got shot as well, not only from Blaz, but the other remaining player also. So I think he was dead either way if Blaz wasn't there. Round 15.
We're going to all 15.
We're all 15, Des.
I'm not Des.
I didn't say that.
You put me on blast yesterday.
That was Tim. That was Tim.
Have you just woken Tim up from his slumber just to give us his one-liner?
Yep.
Good stuff from Parabellum. They are fighting. There is no mistake. And it all comes down to this one round that is going to be played out on Kitchen to decide if we need to see more of these two teams playing off. Next map's going to be Oregon. It's going to be a Parabellum pick if we get to it. SSG starting on the defense. And then if we so need it, we do have Border lined up for our fourth map. Of course, best of 5. The remainder map out of the, when all the picks and bans are said and done, in this case was Theme Park, and that's the automatic win credits to SSG. Due to the fact they came through the upper bracket, they get the 1 map advantage here.
Slightly worried for SSG Ollie because I'm seeing this Ying come in. And we've seen them, we see exactly that's it. We haven't seen great value from the Ying at the moment. I mean, both teams have tried to implement a Ying and it just hasn't worked. Sky's a huge opening pick. Gunner, the best player for Parabellum, is off the board so early on. And Ollie, same way Wamai regenerates those discs, and we talk about, oh, you have to make sure Wamai is staying alive. Equally for Azami, you're not going to be regenerating those barriers now.
And you got to think about who it's taken out as well. It's taken out Gunner. 14 kills so far. He's getting a kill every single round. That's very valuable. And now you're going to be missing out on that. There's some slack to be picked up here from the remaining members of Parabellum. They haven't got the most utility you would like out of him. Sure, he can sit on some of the Valkyrie cameras that are probably kicking around, but it's by no means ideal. Wall now going to get opened up into office. Rampy getting himself onto one of his signature positions. We can see a silhouette of somebody inside a bathroom, and Skies is going to be holding that as well. So SSG really stacking up on this balcony. Blaz is going to be the next player to fall.
He's went for the swing. He's tried to get a kill back for his side, but it hasn't worked out, and the LMG just sprayed for all it's worth. But there's Rampy with a second LMG. Parabellum have crumbled under the pressure of the double LMGs. Eskin out a 1v5. What can he do? The C4 goes amiss. He walks into Westmate, into the sightline of Skies. SSG dismantle the final defense for Parabellum. Whoo, Ollie, that's how you clean it up.
It really is. And that's the kind of team that SSG have been throughout this competition. They have been all guns blazing or trying weird things. And you roll the dice, you flip a coin, and you don't know what you're really going to get. We saw some really weird stuff there that was even happening before the overtime. I feel like they could have closed that out way before we got to maximum rounds. And then in the last round, they flick the switch, they turn it on. You know, they're really putting on a showcase for us there, Demo. Rampy, what a turnaround he's had as a player. He's someone that we've made a lot of comments on throughout the course of the evening. Slow on Chalet, slow on Kafe, slow start on Chalet, didn't pick up a single kill in the opening half, and then a strong finish like that. Sure, he picked up a few impactless frags here and there in some of the flashy end of round clips we saw, but realistically, a full, well-rounded team performance there from SSG. Everybody pulling their weight, and good to see players able to bounce back and pick things up.
Yeah, it was such a roller coaster of a map. It started off Parabellum 4-0 up, SSG 5-4 they go, 6-5 the Parabellum OT, 7-6, 7, you know, the rehost as well coming for SSG. We think, okay, this is the only chance they're going to be able to go for this timeout. And then they go into it and they just get absolutely stomped in that next round, and then we go 7. Oh, what a map, what a game.
We don't need all of the maps available. I certainly feel like we've watched them all. That Chalet really went on. We're going to throw it back to our wonderful analyst desk to break that one down. We've had a pleasure casting this one for you. I hope you've all enjoyed it at home. Jackie, Jesse, Jacob, take it away.
Ollie and Demo, we thoroughly enjoyed your casting. Thank you so much. Fantastic job as always. But our grand final winners, SSG. SSG really just crushing it in the grand final, defeating Parabellum. And Jesse, you know, in the pre-show, you talked about Rampy lining up against Gunner. Give me your thoughts on our top fraggers battling it out here.
Well, Jackie, let me spin you a tale, because we started off this map with Gunner shooting back. He got kills onto Rampy in rounds 1, 3, 4, and 5. Rampy was struggling in the 1v1 engagements. We load into the 6th round, and he's 0-5. He's really not found a frag all game long, but he finds himself in the 1v1. He wins the clutch. He gets SSG their 2nd round on the match, and he keeps them competitive in this game. His reward is an LMG and a set of nades, and he uses these gifts to beat out Gunner, not once, not twice, but 3 rounds in a row, opening kills, beating out Gunner, and claiming his spot as the best player in the lobby. Then for the next 4 rounds, they're pretty quiet. The 2 players don't really engage, but we get all the way to round 14. Parabellum have pushed us back, and Rampy, once again, finds himself in the 1v5, the ace clutch position. Now, obviously, he loses it, but right before the round ends, he kills Gunner. The first kill that he gets in the 1v5. That was the sign. That was the sign that pushed us to the 15th round that showed, of course, SSG would be clutching it out. I told you right then and there, Jackie, I'm changing my prediction. SSG come back and they clean this up. That's what we saw.
Jacob, why are you shaking your head? Talk to me.
I wish it was as simple a case of saying, oh, if one player dies, then that means the round is lost. But regrettably, as far as Gunner is concerned, it's not even like a Gunner thing. It's just a Finka thing at that point, because you're right. It's the LMG. It's combined with the nades, and that's just that's the tool of the trade for somebody in Gunner's position, where it's not like a brain dead Ashbane kind of mentality from like 2018, but that is kind of reminiscent of the way that Gunner plays. And SSG did a way better job of figuring out Chalet this time, especially on that comeback. It was 4-0 at one point, and then 2 rounds on defense for SSG, finally being able to stifle some of that attack spearheaded by Gunner on Finka. And then we get to a point where none of it matters. We shift sides. Parabellum can't do anything in the second half until it's very nearly too late. So congratulations to SSG. You've secured yourself a LAN spot.
Yes, congratulations. And it's been such an amazing journey for them at this tourney. So let's look at the NA bracket. And Jacob, I'll put you in the hot seat for this one. So take us through their journey here.
I just want to say outright, I want to get a t-shirt and give it to Jackie, because you have like an addiction to hot seats for some reason. So we have to find a way to put that on a shirt.
I just like saying we're putting you in the hot seat.
You do like saying it.
When we're in virtual settings, because sometimes it's tough. So I'm like, okay, like I just want to.
Well, here's the thing. Spacestation
definitely
put Parabellum in the hot seat. As far as that first map is concerned, I didn't really know if Parabellum really had all that much left in them, but they did on Chalet through a whole bunch of like nice attacks that didn't seem like Spacestation really had much of an answer. But this overall is what I figured was going to happen. The tier 1 team that got the invite, that everyone knew was a very known commodity at this point, and you had to ask how ready Parabellum themselves were going to be coming into this bracket. It wasn't by very much. There are some good things to look forward to in the NAL for stage 2 with both Blaz and Gunner on that roster, but this is what everyone, I think, really expected. SSG getting the win and $250,000 directed to UNICEF.
Yes, we do have the prize pool up right now, and SSG winning $250,000, giving it to UNICEF, as Jacob just said. And then Parabellum won $125K. They're giving it to Direct Relief. Leftovers in third will be giving their $75K to UNICEF, and then Gaming Gladiators, they will be giving $50K to Direct Relief. So I've been saying it repeatedly, money on the line, glory on the line, all for a great cause. So a big thank you to all of our competitors, and a big thank you to Jesse and Jacob. Really always just love working with both of you. So hearts. That's when you do it back, guys.
Throw them up. No, we did. We just did.
Thank
We're on
you.
a delay, so you didn't
like,
see it immediately.
Okay. I was like, don't leave me hanging, y'all. But anything you want to say to everyone at home?
Well, it's been a crazy 4 days, and that goes for every region involved. It's nice that we got the chance to redirect these funds toward charity, and that's something that these guys can now say because of the amount of money that's involved in this. The guys who competed in this tournament, even if you were in 4th place, you still, to some level, redirected $50,000 to a charity of your choosing, which is not an accolade a lot of guys are going to be able to say throughout the course of their life. That's a massive deal, especially given what those funds are going to be able to do for good causes around the world. So the competition was nice, but ultimately the reason why we're here is the bigger prize for a lot of people, assuming that you like to take the moral high ground, which congratulations to all those charities for the money that they're about to get. It just took a little bit of Rainbow Six dances to get there.
Yeah, it was an extremely fun weekend, right? We had so many teams playing so many great games, and I do think there's a lot of storylines. Of course, SSG, the champions, congrats to them on securing the most amount of money for charity, but there's a lot of promise as well in these younger teams. We saw a couple of new players for Parabellum, but we also saw a couple of Challenger League teams competing in this event, and it was really, really fun to be able to watch them compete against the big dogs in a really serious tournament that also had like a good cause attached to it with the charity money that was involved. So I think it was a great event. It was awesome to be able to see so many teams going up against opponents that they don't always get to see. And yeah, hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yes, certainly. So again, y'all are awesome. Also want to say thank you to everyone behind the scenes. They've been working so hard. You guys have been fantastic. And we definitely want to say thank you to all of you watching at home. Love you so much, Siege fam. I missed you. It was so great to be doing this charity tournament, and hopefully I'll see y'all soon. But have a fabulous rest of your weekend. See you later. Bye. Okay, B-Boop, shut us down.